those days. Julian Charles. Good evening, Julian.
Good evening, Ryan. Pleasant good evening to you. Pleasant evening to all our listeners in the Caribbean and all around the world.
Well, we're about to have play on this, the fourth T20 International between the West Indies and Australia. And certainly the West Indies with a very commanding 3-0 win. The series uh, wrapped up already. Now we're seeing the players taking a knee out in the middle. Also, the umpires, where the gesture, the Black Lives Movement, are really getting this particular gesture common as far as the number of sporting events and other events across the world. Now we are going to have play starting hopefully very soon. We can't see any immediate threat of rain, Julian Charles, but it looks like we're going to have the start of the Australian innings. Remind you that Australia, they won the toss for the fourth consecutive time, or the third, yes, the fourth consecutive time, and they've lost three straight. So we're going to see if their fortunes can change this evening. We're going to have Matthew Wade and the captain Aaron Finch out in the middle, starting for the Australians, and it's going to be Sheldon Cottrell, the left-handed fast bowler, who is going to take it up from the northern end here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground for the West Indies. So we're just about to get play on the way as Cottrell moves away from us, and to this delivery, we're just looking to turn it on the onside. Gets up Lewis to move quickly from it on. He won't stop the single, so the Australians are off and running, and I'm sure they'll be looking to keeping the scoreboard moving along this evening and to capitalize on whatever start that they would be able to get, because you remember, especially in the first couple of games, decent starts but then fading away. They're off and running, one without loss, a single to Matthew Wade. He's off the mark. And Australia, one without loss.
Australia looking to play for pride. Funny thing, I never thought I'd ever say that about an Australian team, but looking to play for pride, trying to prevent a 5-0 defeat.
Sheldon Cottrell moves away from us over the wicket, and to this delivery, Finch is just working it down to forward of square, just loitering out of his crease for a short moment. The return from Fabian Allen, having to be backed up in the offside by Lewis, just trying to execute a direct hit, but Wade was back in his crease and well backed up in the end by Evan Lewis.
Yes, indeed, the Australians, going back to this topic, been outplayed completely in every department of the game, bar probably running between the wickets by the West Indies.
So Cottrell in once more until his delivery is coming forward and just beaten outside the off stump, pushing at that one and taken behind by the captain Nicholas Pooran, again behind the stumps doing duties for the West Indies. So they're looking to go four straight. This one just passing the outside edge and Pooran taking it behind the stumps. So Cottrell, a decent start, just conceding one run of three balls, and the West Indies would be looking to ensure that they get a good start again, keep the Australians under some pressure. Cottrell once more, this one is short outside the house. I'm looking to play a bit lazily at that one. It's Finch, and it passes just under his bat and goes through into the gloves of Pooran behind the stump.
Yeah, French looking to be a bit more positive this time. Last game, he took his time, tried to build an inning, tried to bat as deep as possible. It's still his intention, I'd imagine. But this one, short of a good length, he had a flash at it. Luckily for him, he did not edge.
Well, they're starting again, deciding to bat for the second consecutive game and be looking for way past the 150 mark. This one is down the leg side. The appeal coming up from Cottrell, a tumbling attempt there by Pooran. We saw the appeal going up, but we don't know exactly for what. And definitely that one eluding Pooran and going all the way down to the boundary for extras, it would appear, and way out of the reach of Pooran. Cottrell going up in appeal, Julian Charles, but I do not know exactly what that appeal was for.
But the most optimistic appeal for LBW that I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, so it's four leg buys. So Cottrell in again this time is looking to pull that one, a delivery outside the off stump, good height, and wide ball being called now by the umpire, going over the shoulder. Umpire standing there in this game, Patrick Gustard, giving the signal. He's standing at the northern end here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. So 5 deliveries inside the first over, completed 6 without loss. The Aussies and now getting the extra there for the wide called as Cottrell have to reload again. His delivery is one is just playing up on the onside. Is Finch will get an easy single as Andrew Russell having to come off from their mid-on position. The over coming to an end. It's 7 without loss. Australia winning the toss and deciding to bat in the fourth T20 International against the West Indies being played here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground.
Very aggressive start by Cottrell. Obviously, looking for wickets. This seemed to be the plan of the West Indies. Look for wickets early on. A few short balls outside the off stump. A couple aimed at the head as well. Finch looking to also be more aggressive than the last time, but missed out on a couple of loose deliveries.
So in the last game, within the first 10 overs, we had the West Indies using 7 bowlers. We're going to have to wait and see whether they are going to employ that same strategy in this match. So it's going to be left to see how well Nicholas Pooran will continue with that strategy. It has really served him well so far. And it looks like it's going to be O'Shane Thomas, the man who has come in for the first time in this series. 16 matches, 18 wickets, economy of 24.72. So he's going to take it up from the southern end here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground, also called Players Pavilion, and is over the wicket. And Finch is just having to tuck up a bit, quick delivery, maybe hit striking him somewhere in the region of the box. It seems to be a powerful blow, just having to genuflect and try to really squat it out. Really stiff delivery. First one up from O'Shane Thomas. Looks like it had a lot of pace on it, and Finch had to really buckle up straight into the box. Julian Charles must be a very uncomfortable
Yes,
blow.
luckily for him, it was a little high up on the box, so he has managed to stay standing. But O'Shane Thomas, with a reputation of one of the quickest bowlers in the Caribbean, one of the most feared, I would imagine, these days, has not been in the side very much of late, but certainly he will want to take the opportunity that's given to him here tonight.
Yes, would be looking to impress. Hasn't had much work to do of late. Here is in this delivery is up to the batsman and he pushes it up to mid-off, and they get a single rather quickly and forcing Andrew Russell to move from mid-off and a tumbling stop. So Russell seemed to have certainly come into his own as well in this series. He didn't really dominate the previous series against the South Africans when they played the T20 Internationals at the National Stadium in Grenada. But he's been impressive with bat, ball, and certainly in the field. So he'll be looking to continue with his rich vein of form and also to really put in some good work in the outfield for the West Indies as they look to head into the 2021 ICC T20 World Cup. And as I told you, the West Indies looking for the best combinations, and with the series already wrapped up, looking to get some exposure for O'Shane Thomas. This one is a delivery just short outside the off stump, and there's Wade looking to force it through the offside. Gets too close to it, and it's off the inner portion of the bat, back up the track for the bowler himself to field.
Yeah, this one hurrying up Wade, trying to play a forcing shot off the back foot, but the ball was onto him a lot quicker than I thought. Very good delivery indeed. Very hostile delivery as well.
Yes, O'Shane Thomas might be a bit fresh of perspective for the Australian. They haven't seen him so far in the series, and to this delivery where it is hitting just back with a square on the offside, and definitely a very powerful shot, well struck, well timed, picking up a boundary in the process, and he moves to 5. Lovely shot, O'Shane Thomas. Shot on that occasion, no real pace on that one, and getting into a good position. There was Matthew Wade cutting just back with a square in the offside and picking up a boundary.
Yeah, a bit of a loose delivery. Matthew Wade clearly has read the memo now, I believe, waiting for the short one out the back foot. Had plenty of room to hit this one. Hit it well, powerfully, as you said, through backward point for 4.
Yes, it really sped away to the boundary. This next delivery is again short, looking to cut, and this time finds the edge. Catch taken by Pooran. So Shane Thomas comes back, gets the outside edge, looking to make some room to cut, and the edge found, and Nicholas Pooran took a very good catch just above the shoulder, and Australia losing the first wicket 12 for 1, with Matthew Wade going caught Pooran off the bowling of O'Shane Thomas for 5.
Yeah, this one dug into the wicket really came up ferociously, one would have to say, a lot quicker than we would have realized, and got a top edge, and Nicholas Puran taking a good catch, both hands high over his head.
So the loss of an early wicket, something that the Australians would not have wanted, and that coming just inside the second over. So they've not been able to really succeed in lasting first power play without losing any wicket, and they have not really gone too far ahead as far as scoring is concerned. Not a runaway rate, 6.55 at the moment, 12 for 1, and we've still got two deliveries left inside the second over. So success already for O'Shane Thomas, showing good pace, 1 for 5, his figures so far. And it's Mitchell Marsh, the man who's been in form for the Australian. 24 matches, 439 runs, averaging 24, 250s to his credit. And we'll be looking to add on that. He's been the mainstay of the Australians, the most consistent batsman. This delivery is down the leg side again. A tumbling save by Puran. Looking good, looking acrobatic, but the wide called and one more conceded. So a bit of a mixed situation from Thomas in as far as the line is concerned. Maybe not adjusting to the right-handed Marsh, and now he's conceded an extra with that wide call. 13 for 1, extras up to 6. He's back at his mark, and we'll still have another delivery to bring this over to an end. 1 for 6 as O'Shane Thomas missing his run. You could have seen Julian Charles on his approach that he definitely wasn't fluent, maybe just missing the step. I do not know if from his starting point, if he probably just missed his mark, but you could have seen that he would have pulled up at any time.
Yes, he did miss a couple before, but went on with the delivery. In fact, in one of the deliveries that he missed his run, actually bowled a beautiful Yorker, but this time it was completely out of sorts and he stopped.
So here he is. Hopefully we'll bring his over to an end. His first over of this game. This one is down the leg side and through to the keeper. Not far, just maybe just moving slightly in towards the batsman and just going on, but the over coming to an end. So we've had 2 overs completed. Australia deciding to bat first this evening against the West Indies. We've had 2 overs completed. They're 13 for 1.
Yes, 2.
Bro, did you know that if you switch to LED lighting throughout your home, that you could save as much as 80% on your lighting costs?
Yes, man.
And did you know, wait, you knew that?
Of course, I also know that with using LED lights, I get brighter lighting that lasts longer and is better for the environment too. And by choosing my LED lights from Caribbean LED, I get up to 3 years warranty.
Wow, you know very much.
I hear all the ads on radio for Caribbean LED. Call them and ask at 621-0092 or visit them in Lower Estate or Wildy if you don't believe me.
Yes, Julian, we're back, and you know the team news saying that both Hetmeyer and McCoy out with niggling injuries this evening. Here's Cottrell starting a new over, the third of the innings. This one gives the batsman sufficient time to punch that into the offside. Aaron Finch will pick up a couple, and the total continuing to inch along. 13 for 1 score, and definitely O'Shane Thomas 1 over, no maiden, 6 runs, 1 wicket, 15 for 1. So Finch is going to continue, and we are just waiting for confirmation there. Yes, they're safe. There's some movement, changing of the field, packed offside field. There's a slip. There's a short backward point. There's a man square on the offside. There's a cover. There's an extra cover sweeping on the boundary. There's also a mid-off. There's a mid-on and a mid-wicket halfway from the boundary, and there's a long leg in an orthodox position. That's the field for Cottrell, and he is in once more to Finch, and Finch is just pushing that one and between the keeper and the first slip Gale down to the boundary. So a bit of fortune there for Finch, coming across a lot of pace, and maybe the gap between the keeper Puran and Chris Gale, and making his way to the boundary. So 19 for 1, and Julian Charles, a calculated edge, one can say, from the bat of Aaron Finch.
Yeah, Aaron Finch looking to be positive, but this one a little close to the body. Got a big edge, and the keeper should have gone for this one, going high to the keeper's right, high to Chris Gale's left. both left it for each other, but clearly, Ryan, it was the catch of Nicholas Poran.
Yes, and definitely with the gloves and to the left of Gill, it would have been his good side, but it went quickly between them. Maybe the lack of judgment there. This one is outside the off stump and too far outside, and it goes through to the keeper. So it's 8.14 the rate at this time, and with Finch on 8, 19 for 1 Australia. We're into the third over, and the West Indies having definitely those two changes forced upon them. So we've had some changes. Evan Lewis is also back, Julian Charles, and after the first game, he is getting a run again in this fourth match of the series. This one is outside the awesome. This time, Finch comes across, plays it into the offside. Walsh moves quickly, sends a return in, having to be backed up the onside by Andre Russell. But the Australians calling early, and good communication between Finch and Marsh, allowing them to complete the single. Is 20 for 1. And Finch moves up by 1, so Marsh is going to come in to face his second delivery. And it's 20 for 1. Cottrell, none for 10. And he'll be looking to pick up his first wicket. O'Shane Thomas already having one in the wicket column. And a good breakthrough for the West Indies. That wicket coming in the second over of the end. It's only shot down the legs, an attempted pull. Or maybe just looking to tug that one from outside the off stump. There was Marsh making no contact. And the ball goes through to the keeper. And the West Indies captain, I'm sure, looking to ensure that he continues the winning way to keep up the momentum as the West Indies team look to keep the pressure on this underpowered Australian team, missing a number of their frontline players. David Warren, I'm sure a number of West Indians and St. Lucians would have loved to see here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. Here's Cottrell in again, and this one is just played up on the offside, and it's too close to the square to prevent the single. Hayden Walsh Jr. having to come in underarming a return, just breaking his thumbs at the batsman's end. The over coming to an end. 21 for 1. We've had 3 overs completed, Julian Charles. And the West Indians seem to have really worked things out, and they've kept things pretty tight.
Yeah, very good over by Cottrell. Clearly, his strategy was to be as aggressive as possible. A couple balls pitched up, but a lot of them short of a good length. The Australians have also looked to be very positive. Aaron Finch, I love the body language he's showing out there, and of course Marsh has been informed. So it's all set up for a pretty good day.
Yes, but Finch is very highly. This one is short, pulled away, will go all the way. The fielder at long leg, just watching it as it's swirling in the night sky and over almost into the grass mound at Pakistan area for the first 6 of the innings, and that goes to Marsh. He's the man in form that we've told you for the Australians. He's up to 7 this time. O'Shane Thomas, too short, didn't really have the pace on it, and definitely given the treatment, Marsh with 2 50s in the first 2 games, 51, 54, 9 in the last outing, so he's been in some sort of form, and that one was short, and he gave it the treatment.
This one short, as you said, Ryan. O'Shane Thomas have become very predictable. Most of the balls have been short pretty much in his half of the wicket, and the informed Marsh wasted no time in getting on the back foot and hitting this one just over square leg. That's how early he spotted it.
And certainly disposed of that one down over the long leg boundary. And Thomas again, this one is short again. It's tugged around and will get this time 4 runs between the backward square and the long leg fielder. So O'Shane Thomas not just too short, but also strain on the pads and making it a very easy task for Marsh to just pull that one down to the boundary. So after that, Maximum gets in a 4 to follow that up, and 10 runs off the last 2 balls, certainly not what the West Indies would have wanted.
Not at all. The field is set 5-4. There's a first slip in Chris Gale, a backward point, and the skipper would like to see him concentrate out there.
O'Shane Thomas, this one is one pitch up, is compensating, but too far up, push into the offside. Russell having to move from mid-off, running across, acrobatic save, rifling a return back up, but can't prevent the couple of runs coming in there. 13 to Marsh, 33 for 1. We now also see the no ball being signaled and a free hit as well, Julian Charles out in the middle. So what a situation for the Australians. they've really been able to capitalize this over, and now we can see a well over the front line there, and the call coming there from umpire Braffett. So O'Shane Thomas conceding the free hit there. Australia 33 for 1. Let's see if Aaron Finch can capitalize on this free hit. Scores of 4, 6, and 30 in the last game for Australia. So the captain looking to continue with some sort of form. This one is pulling. Where will this one end up? The appeal coming, not making contact, and there's missing out on that. So are we seeing another no ball being called and another free hit? So Shane Thomas really having it difficult out there, and looks a bit frustrated. Hands akimbo. The call is made, and also the signal once more from umpire Braffett. So he will again have to come back. Oh, Julian Charles is even bigger than the last one, but at least by an entire heel.
Yes, well,
over that front crease.
3 inches over, and he's been trying to be aggressive, but he must have been he's too excited, I think, with the little bounce that he's seen out in the pitch.
Well, Finch will have to wait, as Thomas will take some time to settle and concentrate and really focus on that spot, focus on the line, and to ensure that that front leg doesn't go over the bowling crease. This one is played in the air. This between long on and long off goes all the way. So it's proven very expensive. The free hit being dispatched over long on for another maximum. Australia up to 40 for the loss of 1, and this is turning out to be a very, very expensive over from O'Shane Thomas.
A very good one for Australia. This one dug in again, and this time Marsh stood up straight and tennis pulled the ball, if you like, straight over long on. A most unusual shot, and a shot which shows a batsman in complete control of the situation.
Well, he had the license, he had the security of the free hit, and both batsmen moving way up to double figures. Finch on 15, the partnership now 28 as Thomas is in. The delivery is pushed back past the bowler down to long on. Past the bowler with some power. It was in the air momentarily, and he looks frustrated. That's O'Shane Thomas beating the man at the wide mid on down to the bunch for 4. So the current run rate has propelled to 12, Julian Charles, and the Australians have certainly taken advantage. Again, overcompensating on this occasion. Very straight bat there from Finch. And when he's going, he can really knock it about in a T20 format. And Aaron Finch really catapulted to 19. And the partnership up to 32, 44 for 1. And we've still got 2 deliveries left in the 4th over. So Thomas, a lot to think about as he moves in to Aaron Finch, and to this delivery. Finch is just playing it again upon the onside. Again, the fielder at long on having to come in, picks up, send the return in. This occasion, just 1, and the score now to 45 for the loss of 1. I'm sure if you were both Finch and Marsh, Julian Charles would have been satisfied with the way things have gone in the previous 4 deliveries to even just settle for 1.
Yes, a couple of delightful shots by Marsh, especially the straight drive down the ground, lofted drive.
So Thomas, very busy, very expensive in this over. This has conceded 6 in his first, and about 24 in his second. This one is, will it be called? No, maybe just clear, close enough for the batsman, for the umpire not to call a wall. So the over finally comes to, and we've had 4 completed, 45 for 1, Australia.
C-R-O, C-R-O.
What you doing?
Practicing how to say hello in Italian so I can go impress the folks at Caribbean LED.
You mean because they have the new Fumagalli range of lighting fixtures, ideal for outdoor use, especially for homes like ours in the tropics, affected by constant sunlight and sea spray?
C, Fumagalli.
Alright, you. Head to the store at Wildy. I will go to the Laura Estate location on my way home. Oh, and it's not C-R-O, it's pronounced Chow.
Wait, it's Chow?
So a wonderful gift package there for the Australians. 24 runs from the second over from O'Shane Thomas, and really giving the Australians some comfort and somewhat of a platform where they can launch. We've just had 4 overs completed. The current rate now 11.25, and the partnership up to 33, and we're going to see a change from the northern end, as it's going to be Andre Russell who will be having his first ball this evening. The delivery outside the off, some wide call as well. So the extra is certainly mounting. First delivery from Russell wide of the off stump, and Aaron Finch just watching as it goes by, shoulders, arms, probably being very assured that one would have been called wide. It goes through to the keeper. Russell has to go back to his mark. He's in once more. Until this delivery shot pulled down all the way over long on. Wonderful shot. Shot of authority by Aaron Finch. So he seems to be in the zone this evening. All the way for 6. Lovely shot. It was shot just outside the off stump. And he went with the full swing of the bat. And to this delivery, almost wide outside the off stump. Very good contact. Julian Charles and the Australian captain looks in good form this evening.
Yes, indeed. From the time he walked out, his body language looked a lot different from what we have seen in the series. Early on, the first game was too aggressive. The second game, third game, he tried to play himself in. But this time, he just looked like he was clear. He had a clear mind as to what he wants to do, including wanting to just dominate. This one shot, and Finch was in position like a flash, and hit the ball forward of square, match it was. Hit the ball forward of square down to the boundary for 6.
Yes, Adrian Finch. He's up to 26, Julian Charles, and we going to see the umpires, think probably doing the usual situation. So we've got 52 on the board right now for the loss of 1. And it has certainly been situation where the West Indians are probably just giving away the situation, been very expensive in the last few overs. So we're going to see an adjustment to even our own score here, Julian. So we got to switch the tallies. So the Australians going to continue. If Russell coming round the wicket, and this one is driven, maybe just tugged into the offside and can go past the mid-wicket fielder. And again, Simmons comes across the field. So we're going to get an adjustment. A 54 for the loss of 1. Marsh on 31. Finch on 9. The partnership 42 of 19 balls. Wonderful start by the Australians. Russell in his first over. This one is again tugged wide of the mid-wicket region down to the boundary for 4. So the Australians dealing in boundaries and maximums. Julian Charles looking to get aggressive, and maybe Aaron Finn sending a signal this evening that he's going to make the decision to bat first count tonight.
Yes, the West Indians did appear not to have the discipline that they had the last few games. They started off by pitching balls, pitching short. Right now, since they've been hit all over the place with the short pitch bowling, they've had no alternative but to pitch up, but they're pitching up too far.
Now 58 for the loss of 1. This one is driven into the offside. They can get the single. The fielder coming in from extra cover. And they've really got to pull things back. They could be shell-shocked. Marsh on 31. Finch 13. 58 for 1 on the board. Current rate 12.43. And is the 4th CG Insurance T20 International being played here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. Russell none for 12. And he's just into his first over. He's got number 12 on his back as well. This one is pushed into the offside. The man at extra cover just coming around to pick it up. Again, there's no run. So Marsh is the batsman really continuing with the onslaught, Julian. His form really staying with him. 31 from 12 deliveries and the Finch 13 from 15. And the West Indies will really have to think quickly if they're going to get themselves back into this game, or Chris Gayle will have to produce another mighty knock like he did in the previous game. This one is delivery again, played on the full down to deep extra cover. Allen moves quickly from around the boundary. He's quick but still can't prevent the second run. The return a bit awkward for the keeper Puran. He gets it on the first bounce. So the over coming to an end. It's 60 for the loss of 1. We'll have more from Julian. Then we're going to have our double change. It's going to be Sunil Ramdin together with Joseph Reds Pereira.
Yes, the Australian batsman looking to dominate the proceedings here, especially Michel Marsh. He's in delightful form, pulling the ball very well, and when it's pitched up, he's equal to it, playing straight down the ground. The West Indian fast bowlers got carried away with the short pitch bowling, and they paid dearly for it. The Australians in a very strong position, the strongest position any team batting after 5 overs has been in this series. series, and the West Indians will have to try to pull it back. They will need to revert to some of the variations, which has worked pretty well for them. And of course, Hidden Walsh needs to at some point come into his own during this match. So we welcome again Ramdeen.
Thank you very much, Julian. And of course, O'Shane Thomas going for 30 runs in his 2 overs. He did pick up 1 wicket, but the change is in now. Akeal Hussain will be replacing him from the southern end. Akeal Hussain, of course, from Trinidad and Tobago, left arm around the wicket, bowls to is that Marsh, and Marsh just smashes it through that long off region. Beautiful drive, Reds, for 4 runs. Mitch Marsh, he's up for it tonight. It's 64 for 1.
I don't think this series is being covered by Australian television, but if it was, his father would have been extremely pleased that his son has looked classy tonight. And he's looked classy in just about every game.
Akeal Hussain with this, the final over of the power play. Good power play for Australia so far. 64 for 1, their best left arm. The left arm did Akeal Hussain, that one just short of a length. Also keeping low. Marsh tries to pull it into that mid-wicket region, doesn't make good contact. And Andre Russell runs across to pick it up. It's just 1 run.
Australia's not look in this position for the entire series. 65 for 1, and this is the end of the power play.
Hussain in from the southern end. The skipper Finch, who just works it onto the leg side. There was an initial thought that they could get through for a single, but Sheldon Cottrell just backward of square was having none of it. Some good fielding, no run. The score remains on 65 for 1.
Finch wanted it. His non-striker saw the danger and said, no.
So Akeal Hussain with some advice from skipper Nicholas Puran behind the stumps. Comes in to bowl to Aaron Finch. That one just pushed up a bit quicker. Finch onto the back foot, works it into the offside, hustles through for a single, takes his personal tally up to 15, takes the score on to 66 for 1.
And he got outside the leg stump and got onside of the ball, looking to play through the offside. That's the way how he picked up the single.
The informed Mitchell Marsh now to face Hussain, and again one pitched up. He not too much footwork, just works it into the offside, but there's a good cordon of fielders on the offside. It's Lendell Simmons just running around from that mid-off position to ensure that there's no run. Hussain with his final ball of the over to Mitchell Marsh, who's on 36 or 15 deliveries. This one is pitched up and Marsh drives and drives well. That one, there's no fielder on the long off boundary, but even if there was, he wasn't going to get that. It's well over the boundary. That's a maximum. Takes Marsh onto 42 off just 16 balls. And at the end of the power play, Australia 72 for 1.
Well, this is probably the kind of Australia we expected maybe early on in the piece, and that was played so beautifully. Time beautifully, just got forward, got to the pitch, and hit it towards the West Indies enclosure, down towards the end of the Johnson's Charles stand. I would say a wide long off position. Very good start by Australia, and I think it'll be good from this game if they can get up to about 250, 260. I mean, the best total is 141. They look to be on course to something a lot better.
Well on the way there. The run rate right now is 11.80. They say Reds may be the best pick for the night for the Aussies. May have been O'Shane Thomas.
Yes, and obviously Puran trying to produce a defensive period. He's gone to the tight Allen.
Yes, there's a change from the northern end as well. The left-handed Fabian Allen around the wicket. First ball through to Finch. He tries to cut, makes no contact. Skipper Puran collects. Fabian Allen in again. This one's pushed up. Finch just stepping back and working that into that third man area. We see it looks like Akeal Hussain running around, and it's just a single they hustle through. It's 73 for 1.
Yes, Puran turning to Allen to try and stop the run flow.
Fabian Allen. This one's tossed up, and Mitch Marsh drives and drives well. There is cover on that long off boundary. It's Sheldon Cottrell. He runs around and makes a hash of it. Sliding to get to the ball. Didn't get anywhere near the ball. In fact, it appears he slid past the delivery. And that's a bonus boundary for the Aussies. It takes their total on to 77 for 1. And Marsh, who's in good form, well, he'll be very thankful for that.
Murphy's Law, when things are going wrong, they go wrong.
Allen in with his fourth delivery. That one just held back a bit. Marsh tries to work it onto the offside, but Hayden Walsh Jr., who was previously on the boundary, has been brought into that area, just about in a point position. Runs around quickly and makes sure there's no run as Allen runs in once more. Bolts to Marsh, and Marsh drives, and good work by Fabian Allen, feeling off his own bowling to keep the batsman honest. 77 for 1, the best start by the Aussies so far in this series. Fabian Allen into Marsh, and Marsh gets back and just drives it forward of square on the offside, and he hustles through for a single. Takes the score onto 77 for 1, and that's the latest from the Darren Sammy Stadium.
It's a super sale now on at CaribbeanLEDlighting.com. Shop online and find the fixtures you're looking for at super low prices. Get flush mounts, wall mounts, vanity lights, pendants, and even chandeliers, all now on sale. Reap the savings on the perfect accessories to style or restyle your home inside or out. Log on to CaribbeanLEDlighting.com for the super sale now on.
Caribbean LED lighting. Look on the brighter side.
So after the onslaught from Australia, winning the toss for the fourth time, Captain Aaron Finch deciding, I'm going to have a bat again, and this time it's worked out for him. He's on 17, Marsh is on 46, the score 77 for 1, and another change in the bowling red spur, Hayden Walsh Jr.
Yes, and the sixth bowler being introduced. They try an all-spin attack with Allen and Walsh.
The leg spinner in from the southern end, and Marsh tries to pull that delivery, keeping a bit low. He didn't get much on it, just trickles into the onside, and Puran is able to run around and prevent a run.
Too short. Walsh has got to keep the ball up. Should be bowling with a fair amount of confidence. His figures have been quite good.
Walsh into Marsh. Marsh leans back and drives through the offside. There is cover on the boundary, that cover boundary. It appears to be Fletcher, and he manages to keep the score. Just a one, just a single, 78 for 1. 79 for 1, sorry. As Walsh comes in once more. This time bowling to the skipper, Finch, and Finch pulls and makes good contact, and it goes, clears that area we call the cow catcher area, Reds, and I was asking you about that earlier, but certainly Aaron Finch seems encouraged by Marsh. He moves on to 23.
Just too short, and Finch quickly in position, hit it hard out towards the scoreboard, and he hasn't started very well. I mean, and the West Indies at this stage have got to be worried that they just can't get the discipline to produce a couple of dot balls, just deny Australia runs, and that's the only way you're going to get wickets. I mean, you look at the bowling figures. Cottrell 2 overs for 11, Thomas 2 for 31, Russell 1 for 14, Hussain 1 for 12, Alain 1 for 6. That's the best over already. Walsh has conceded quite a few runs in this over.
Yeah, Walsh, he's already conceded 7 in this over. Finch, he moves on to 23. The run rate is 11.33, a healthy run rate, and certainly this looking like the Australian team we expected would have turned up earlier.
Yes, very impressive. 85 off 7.3. The rate is very much in front of us.
So Hayden Walsh now continues after being hit for that 6. This one's pitched up, and the Aussie skipper drives. Some good work by Walsh, diving to his left, fielding off his own bowling, and there's no run.
Reminds me of the late Collie Smith. Very good just about everywhere.
Walsh Jr. once more into Finch. This one's a bit short. Finch chooses the option of driving it back down the wicket. Absolutely no timing. And once more, Walsh fields off his own bowling. No runs.
Very athletic he is, diving to the left, supporting his own bowling well.
Walsh with the final ball of the 8th over. And this one pitched up. He appears to have pushed that one through. Finch works it down to the long on area, ambles through for a single, takes his total on to 24. The score is 86 for 1, and that's the latest from the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Old-time bakers in Bim bake from home. Remember the Dutch oven made of stone? Then came the bread cart. Oh, you could smell that bread a mile away. And then there was the bread van. Many have made a living selling from them. Now, your bread is as close to your home as you can get it, because there's sure to be a Crumbs bakery near you for a wide variety of fresh cakes, pastries, and bread.
Crumbs, so good, even down to the last crumb.
Fabian Allen pushes this one into the legs of Aaron Finch, who just works it into the onside and is able to run through for a single. Takes the score on to 86 for 1, and Allen has certainly been the tightest so far.
Yes, I think he's been brought specially from the top end to try and simply reduce the flow of runs, conceding, 7 in the first over or 6 in the first over.
Allen into Marsh, who drives ambitiously, makes no contact. The ball goes through to Paran, and certainly some encouragement there for Allen.
Yes, easily could have gotten an edge to Puran, playing off the back foot.
Allen once more pitches it up. A drive, and a good drive from Mitchell Marsh. Sheldon Cottrell, who's on that long off boundary from his immediate action, just staring up into the sky. You know that was going to go for 6. Brings up Marsh's 50, and in style moves on to 54. Takes the score on to, that would be 93, I think, for 1.
Well, I don't know if he's been on the Sandals 18-hole championship golf course, but he played that as if he was teeing off.
Once more driving, Marsh this time not making as good contact all the way along the ground, down to that cow catcher area once more where Fletcher cleans up. It's just a single this time. The score moves on to 94 for 1.
I think Justin Lanka did order practice last night, and it seemed to be paying off so far.
Fabian Allen into this time the skipper Aaron Finch, working it into the offside and hustling through for a single. For a moment you thought they were in trouble, but maybe seeing that it was Chris Gale after it and managing to get that single comfortably in the end, 95 for 1.
Well, for some unknown reason, Finch, and Marsh seem to have had a little mix-up.
Allen, this one is on the off stump. Marsh just works it into the offside, satisfied to pick up a single, takes his personal tally on to 55, and the score on to 96 for 1. That's the latest from the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Yes, we have a little bit of information. Australia struggling to do well here. Well, not really struggling in the series, but doing very well here. They lost to Japan 1-0. And T20I up against El Salvador. That's going to be a test for the Trinidad Tobago side.
Yeah, we'll bring you scores in that. Of course, the ICC rankings were updated today. I'll share with you, a la Roland Cox. Thanks, Roland. For the T20, Australia, they're in 5th position. The West Indies are in 8th position. And right now we see a sight none of us really wants to see. The ground staff are hustling on to the pitch. We were hopeful that there would be no interruptions, but there's a steady drizzle coming down now. The umpires have opted Reds to take the players off.
Yeah, rain stopping play at 96 for 1, 9 overs bowled, and maybe just a little drizzle, which has been the pattern. Nothing heavy right now. In fact, you can hardly see the drizzle, and the players walking off very, very slowly. But it gives the West Indies players a chance to regroup and sort of work out what they need to do to stop the Australian run flow, which is really going at great guns. 96 for 1 of 9, and it's really been an Australian game so far.
Well, the good news is that it's not a heavy rainfall, and there's a steady breeze, so hopefully it will take the rain away, and this will just be a minor interruption. If you've just joined us, the Aussie skipper, Aaron Finch, winning the toss for the fourth consecutive time, opting to bat, and this time it proved to be a good decision. The Aussies got off to a bit of a stumbling start. Matthew Wade, he was caught per Bull Thomas for 5. That first wicket would have fallen at just 12, and they were probably wondering, are we going to see another tough night out in the middle? But O'Shane Thomas, one of 3 players brought into the West Indies team, he's continued to struggle with his control and line, and went for 24 runs in 1 over. Mitchell Marsh capitalizing on that, and I think that certainly got the Aussies up and running. Mitchell Marsh, he went on to score his half century, 56 in just 26 balls, with 5 sixes and 4 fours. Aaron Finch obviously getting some encouragement. He's on 26 from 26 balls, 1 6 and 2 fours.
Yeah, it's good to see Thomas getting an opportunity to show his skills, but I think that Roddy Eswick, the bowling coaches, still got some work to do with the approach of Thomas. When he gets up towards the last couple of strides, he just seems to be chipping. And it's affecting his rhythm. It's probably affecting his bowling action, because he's not too sure exactly where he's going to land. And of course, we saw one very large no ball by Thomas. So there's work to be done in that area. This is a bowling side, of course, without Bravo, and I think he's going to miss that experience. And the West Indies may be handicapped by just too many injuries.
Obed McCoy, who's certainly been their champion bowler in the T20 format. Sheldon Cottrell opened the bowling, didn't do too badly, 2 overs for 11 runs. O'Shane Thomas opened with him. Had a steady first over. O'Shane Thomas picked up a wicket. Matthew Wade caught behind off Paran, but then, of course, a very expensive second over. His figures so far, 2 overs, 1 for 31.
After being 1 for 6.
After being 1 for 6, exactly. Andre Russell, as you pointed out, Reds, also a bit expensive, 1 over for 14 runs. Akil Hussain came in to replace O'Shane Thomas, and he was taken for 12 runs off his only over. Fabian Allen came in and brought some control, 2 overs for 16 runs, and then Hayden Walsh, who's continued to look impressive in the series, had that single over, his first over for 8 runs, and when the rain interruption came, he was in the middle of his second over.
Well, this is almost like a basketball timeout, and it's come at the right time for the West Indies, because they need to toss some ideas around. They can go to the experience, of course, of Pollard and the experience of Simmons. And I would think, talking about the NBA continues tonight, and of course the Bucks have a pretty good chance of going further ahead.
Well, the West Indies certainly have Chris Gayle to lean on if they want to mix things up even further. Already having used 6 bowlers, Reds, they certainly have the option of doing that.
Yes, it's a good suggestion, because he's tall. He has that ability to bowl those quick darts. He doesn't give the ball a lot of air for you to get after him, but it's really up to Pooran. And the good news is that the covers are in fact starting to come off.
Yes, those green plastic-looking covers are being hauled off by the ground staff. There's just that single piece that's covering the playing surface now, and that's also coming off. And it's good news, certainly encouraging news as we look to get this game resumed. I was sharing, Reds, just before we went, the latest ICC rankings, with the West Indies 7th in the Test rankings, Australia 3rd. They're 8th in the ODI rankings, Australia 3rd in that as well. And they're also 8th in the T20 rankings, and Australia 5th in the T20 rankings. No Windies batsmen in the top 10 in terms of Test matches. Shea Hope, he's tied with, he's there with just behind David Warner. He's 8th in the ODI rankings, and the only representative from the West Indies in terms of the T20 batting, Evan Lewis at 10, Jason Holder also at number 10 in terms of Test cricket, and in terms of bowling, Fabian Allen is in 10 as well in terms of the T20 rankings.
And the other news coming out today is that England beating the England women beating the India 153 for 6, England 154 for 2, and of course a very good win yesterday with Ireland beating Sri Lanka by Burney, the captain getting 100, and Pakistan, high scoring game yesterday, 331, England 332 for 8, 332 for 8. So lots of cricket being played, and I would think the Irish beating South Africa, but it's fair to say that South Africa, I don't think, had the cock in the side.
No, they didn't, and as we've seen, he can certainly be a match winner all his own. Well, Reds, some Gold Cup news. El Salvador, they've taken the lead against Trinidad and Tobago as they head toward halftime.
Yes, they had a hard-working defensive draw against Mexico, which gave them a point. If they could come away with a point tonight, but they seem to just be missing one or two classy forwards who can hold the ball, keep the ball, and beat a couple of defenders.
Yeah, new coach in, Angus Eve as well. The good news, even more good news, is that the players are now making their way out into the middle. The baggy greens, dressed in bright yellow, with their green stripe along the side, and they're making their way on with the West Indies team as we get set to resume this match. The Aussies, their best start of the series so far with the bat. They're 96 for 1. In the wicket, Mitchell Marsh, he's on 56, not out, and looks to be in imperious form. With him as skipper Aaron Finch on 26.
So the colours of the West Indies have remained, and we are looking at a point we made a bit earlier. The chipping of Thomas, it'll be good to see that close up, because there is a problem with the approach of Thomas. So game about to resume. We've had 9 overs, and after 9 overs they are well placed at 96 for 1. 96 for 1. Carey to come next. Henriquez, Turner, Christian, Stark, Zampa, Meredith, and the new Australian fast bowler, left arm, 6'4", Berendoff. So although the tail might be long, the top order started very well.
It started well, and another change in the bowling, a curious change this time, is we're going to see the right arm medium pace of Lendl Simmons from the southern end.
Well, he's bowled some useful spell for Trinidad and Tobago and the West Indies before.
So his first delivery, Marsh just works it into the onside and takes an easy single. The score moves on to 97 for 1. Marsh moves on to 57.
Pooran trying to use a couple of overs. If he can, be tight with a 5-over spell, it will just help Nicholas Pooran a great deal.
At this point, even one good over, I'm sure Pooran will appreciate. Simmons pushing that one up a bit, and the line is just down the leg side, and Aaron Finch just works with the line, eases it down to that fine leg area. It runs into the boundary now. He picks up another 4. It brings up the Aussies 100. They are on 101 for 1, and a great start, Reds.
Bad line by Simmons. That was not what the doctor's orders. He's got to be outside off stump. The field is set for an off stump line, and he's just got to get it right.
Simmons once more into Finch, and this time a short delivery. Finch pulls well. That will clear the boundary in that mid-wicket area. It's a maximum 107 for 1. The Aussies are continuing with their onslaught this evening. Finch moves to 36 from 28 balls.
Short down the leg side, and Finch enjoying his best knock of the series, hitting that high over square leg, and this has been yet another bad over from the West Indies. situation isn't just calming a bit, and the run chase continues to go.
Simmons once more to Finch, and this one is short, and Finch again works it onto the leg side. O'Shane Thomas jumping, sorry. It was a futile effort in the end, and it's another boundary, and it's a third consecutive boundary for Aaron Finch. So this experiment with Simmons doesn't seem to be working out. It's 111 for 1 now. Aaron Finch moves into his 40s. He's on 40.
Well, I've seen him bowl much better than this. I mean, he tends to at least bowl medium pace outside the line of the off stump. He's been down leg side, and costly.
This time he's on the off stump, but Finch tries to smash it straight. Instead, it goes down to that cow catcher position. Hayden Walsh Jr. coming off the boundary. Just a single, and the West Indies will certainly welcome that. 112 for 1. Finch is scoring at a strike rate of 151. Marsh is scoring at a strike rate of 183.
15 runs off the over already.
Simmons, this delivery wide of the off stump. Marsh just tries to work it into the offside, makes no contact. A welcome dot ball. Paran collects the score at the end of the over, 112 for 1.
That's the sound of doors opening to another Crumbs bakery to serve another important part of the Barbadian community, this time at Silver Sands in Christchurch, another location with the same Crumbs commitment to bring you a wide variety of fresh cakes, pastries and bread, because they should be as close to you as we can get. Crumbs, now at Silver Sands in Christchurch.
Crumbs, so good, even down to the last crumb.
Welcome back to the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground, where the Australians are continuing to pile up the runs. 112 for 1. We've just had 10 overs completed. So this partnership an even 100. So the Australians continuing to score and score heavily. The West Indies would really need to keep ringing the changes. And we're going to have Hossain, who just bowled 1 over for 12 runs. He's continuing from the northern end here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. Very defensive field. And today's delivery zone outside the off, some call wide. So they're not getting away with anything. The wide call at the start of the new over with Marsh on 57 and Aaron Finch, who's on strike. He's on 41, 113 for 1. West Indies would be looking for a second wicket after taking the first relatively early in the game here this evening. And Hussein is in this one is looking to be driven outside the off, some doesn't make contact. Good dot ball for the West Indies on this occasion and goes into the gloves of wicketkeeper Nicholas Poran, the West Indies captain, as looks around the field. Now Aaron Finch and Poran also making some adjustments as well, looking to get Allen down to the deep extra cover boundary. The first wicket going on, the score on 12. 101 this partnership. The current rate an impressive 11.11. This one is short. He's looking to play outside the off stump. The appeal for the catch is not supported by no other. The umpire is not interested. They are going to review it now. So a very confident appeal. Might be something very faint that Puran picked up. Julian Charles, you say welcome back to you. And let's see what it's going to be. The original decision not out. And no support coming in from umpire Patrick Gustard. But Puran seemed to be very confident about it. He would have heard or seen anything. And maybe it's an opportunity to try to get a breakthrough, Julian Charles.
Yes, nothing has gone towards the West Indies' way so far. And they're desperate for a wicket.
And it appears that Finch might have played well over that, but we will have to wait until we get further evidence of that. Puran going up. Very confident indeed, but we're going to have to wait for the DRS and the decision. And Finn seems to be quite happy about it. Seems confident that no contact was made. So Ultra Edge just coming up. And we'll have to wait. Most likely there will be the big not out sign going up. And it was definitely worth a shout. 10 overs already completed, Julian Charles. This partnership, 101. We haven't seen anything like this for any partnership by the Australians so far in the series. So definitely the West Indies players who have really wanted to see if there was any opportunity to break the back of this partnership. So Hussein will have to continue. And 7 overs already employed by the West Indies. So just like the previous game, 7 overs within the first 10, 7 bowlers rather within the first, and this one is swung down in the area over the deep mid-wicket region. Another maximum for the Australian team. This time to their captain Aaron Finch. He moves to 47, and it's really been raining sixes so far. Julian Charles 8 in the innings already and 9 boundaries.
Yes, very confident looking shot. Slug sweep was just outside the off stump and he helped it along in a very commanding fashion.
Yes, a very good judge of length and just dispatching it from just outside the off stump. It was Aaron Finch. Here he is once more, and this one is again tugged in the air. Will it go all the way? There's no one really there defending it. This time it falls short of the boundary. The 4 now being signaled by umpire Gustard. So they're really taking advantage of anything now, Julian Charles. Even the good balls are being dispatched, and this has really been a good rate by the Australians, 11.53, and the West Indies will have to work very hard this evening if they're going to really break the back of this. Aaron Finch bringing up his 50 with that shot. And certainly I'm sure he would be happy with his performance. We saw some glimpse of him maybe coming into form in the previous game, getting 30 in that match after 2 lean scores in the first 2 games. But the Australian captain, I'm sure, would be a bit happy this evening with his form. So we're going to have Hussein in once more. And this one is outside the off stump. It hits square. Can be the fielder just moving quickly to his right. And a good tumbling stop there by Allen, preventing any runs. So Hussein, none for 24, and he's just about to complete his second over. So all the West Indian bowlers have gone for a few this evening. Cottrell 2 overs for 11 as Hussein is short outside the off stump cut, but cut 2 square. The fielder Allen comes across. He picks up the over, coming to an end. And after 11 overs, the Australians 124 for 1. That's the latest score here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground.
Yes, indeed, Finch looking excellent form, just waiting on these flighted deliveries and really dispatching them in commanding fashion. He looks, in total control of the situation out there. And Marsh, of course, has been in form, third half century for the tournament so far.
Well, the experiment with Simmons has proven a bit expensive. 1 over for 16 runs. And he's going to resort now to Hayden Walls Jr. Is Nicholas Puran. And this one is tossed up and spanked down to the long off region. So 1 more to the score, 125 now for the loss of 1. And Finch moves to 53. Marsh, who is on 57, comes into strike. The current rate 11.19 into the 12th over of the Australian innings. They want to toss for the 4th consecutive time, deciding to bat tonight like they did in the preceding game. This one is stuck wide off the mid-on fielder, but he's coming across quickly. Andre Russell and limits the Australians to just 1. So 1 more to the score. It's 126 for 1. Brings Aaron Finch back into strike, and Mitchell Marsh moves up to 58. So Walsh are 1.2 overs, none for 10. So comparatively speaking, he's been rather economical based on what has happened this evening. This one is looking to go well over the infield, misses, and actually the catch taken behind. Let's see, or maybe there's something moved, but the West Indies are celebrating with the fall of this wicket. The partnership 114 being broken. The second wicket going down for the Australians. We just get confirmation now. Yes, just nipping the outside of the off stump, Julian Charles, and Hayden Walls celebrating, quite happy with that one. So a very loose shot there by Aaron Finch on that occasion, bowled by Hayden Walls Jr. for 53, and Australia losing the second wicket with 126 on the board.
Walsh continue to be the one to mesmerize the Australians. He always looked likely to be the one to get the wicket, and this one was a beautifully bowled leg break, pitching and turning and clipping the off stump on his way through. So vital breakthrough by the West Indies, and they'll be hoping that they can try to put some measure of control on this game. but it was a very delightful inning, I would say, by Finch. Always looked in control, always looked in command, and his team will be pleased with him, and he will be obviously be pleased with his performance tonight.
Well, it was definitely a good partnership for the Australians, having the early loss of the first wicket going on at 12. But it's going to be Hayden Ward Jr. again, continuing his pushing that one straight back to the bowler. Carey coming in, first delivery, being deceived, pushing it back to the bowler. And Walsh is delighted. So 2 quick wickets there for the West Indies. Alex Carey going first ball, cotton bowl Walsh without scoring.
Walsh's immaculate bowling form continues. The ball pitched up on the leg stump. On the monitor, we'll see whether it was the wrong one. It certainly looked like it was, as Carey looked to push this ball down the leg side, getting a leading edge, and the ball just bumping rather limply back to Walsh, who took a very easy catch and threw it high up in the air. So Walsh now on a hat-trick. So the Australians a bit pegged back in terms of wickets. How quick and how funny can cricket turn?
So Carey going first ball. I'm sure the West Indians will be hoping that will really turn things around for them and start what could be a slide. We're into over number 12. So there's Moses Enriquez is going to come out to join Mitch Marsh, who is on a 58. And the West Indies, on the other hand, will be hoping that Hayden Ward Jr. could pull off a hat-trick. Here he is. And to this delivery, Enriquez is driving down to the wide, deep extra cover region and instead concedes the boundary. So Enriquez is coming and has gotten off the mark immediately with that boundary. So breaking the prospect of that hat-trick there for Hayden Ward Jr. And that was after he had picked up the wickets of Aaron Finch and Carey, but then Moses Enriquez just spoiling it momentarily. And again, more runs on the board for Australia, 130 for 3. Hayden Ward Jr. ins once more, and this one is pushed down to long on. The field having to come off the boundary. So Moses Enriquez just continuing to work things around. He's now up to 5. Mitchell Marsh is on 58. We've come to the end of over number 12, 131 for 3. That's the latest here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground.
Any time is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Now with 2 convenient locations, Fairchild Street in the city and Speightstown, St. Peter. Try their snack boxes, 2 pieces, fries and a bun for only $12.99, or the loaded fries with chicken deliciousness for only $11.99. With barbecue and fried chicken, delicious burgers, the freshest salads and sides. Anytime is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Follow at Crispy Fried Chicken BDS on Instagram.
So back at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground, we're going to have Andrea Russell, who will pick up the attack from the northern end. And Puran taking some time in getting his field into position. Allen is going to be at long on. Cottrell is settled at the long off position as Russell round the wicket. This one is delivery just played down to the short third man region. Chris Gale is there. In the end, the Australians move through immediately. And one more to the score, up to 132 for 3. Mitchell March, 58. Moses Enriquez is on 6. 10 extras in the innings so far. And it's another good knock by Marsh, who is on strike into the delivery, just pushing it down to long on. They feel having to move from the mid-off position. And the orthodox long on was a bit wide, so there was work for Sheldon Cottrell to come around. Couldn't prevent the single. 133 for 3. Australia winning the toss and putting in a much better performance here this evening in this 4th game of the 5-match T20 International Series. Round the wicket, wide outside the awesome, call wide too. And Paya Gustad had no difficulty in calling that one wide. So it's got to really be consistent, the West Indies. Maybe just with the angle. Russell just going too far across the right-hander. The delivery again is very wide outside the awesome. This time not called. And Russell gets away with that one. Just a steer down the track by Enriquez. Seeing that his partner there has really had another good knock. 59 from 31 deliveries. Mitchell Marsh. And he struck 5 fours. The number 6, this one is outside the off up again, called wide. The arms of umpire Gustad outstretched. So Russell having some difficulty in really keeping it away from the batsman with sufficient success for it not to be called a wide. He's really trying to get it wide, but he's too wide, Julian Charles.
Yes, this one, the plan is definitely to bowl it wide. He's bowling for 6 free field, 6 on the offside. He's bowling around the wicket across the batsman.
This time he's looking to tug that one down to long on. It's coming across. Will the catch be taken? Yes, it is. And the great man who has had a very solid hands, Fabian Allen, coming up with that catch. So he's really been outstanding in the field throughout the entire series. We could have seen him, Julian Child, moving around from long on, getting onto that one, looking very confident. So you can see it's reasonably a quick time of the fourth Australian wicket going down. And Anikez going caught by Allen of the bowling of Russell for 6. And I'm sure the West Indies will be feeling definitely that they're really getting back in this game.
Yes, Russell bringing all his experience to bear here, actually changing the whole strategy in bowling around the wicket with a 6 free field and pitching the ball wide outside the off stump. Did get penalized with 2 wides, but this last delivery was wide again, and the batsman trying to hit it through the mid wicket area, got a big edge, I think. Sorry, a leading, got at the bottom of the bat actually, and was caught on the mid wicket boundary.
Yes, so definitely a good catch again being taken by Allen, just moving across to his right and coming off with the catch. And Turner's the new batsman in, and we have Russell continuing. And this one is pushing to the offside by Marsh as the batsman had crossed for the catch being taken there. So it's now up to 136 for 4. And it brings Turner into strike to face his first delivery. It's going to be the final one from Andrew Russell to bring his second over to an end. 1 for 19 his figures so far. And he's already had some success, although conceding a number of wides. This one is just pushed back up to mid-off. The fielder just coming across to his right. Can't prevent the single. 137 for 4. So the Australians, whenever the singles or maximums not available, getting the singles as well. 13 overs completed. It's 137 for 4 Australia.
West Indies trying to do some kind of repair to the bowling, and Russell bringing all his experience to bear, as we've said, and outfoxing the Australians and getting this wicket. And it is so important now, Ryan, that Michel March looked to bat as deep as possible. He's had a solid start, but he would not be pleased with the wickets falling at the other end. It may just put some chains on him.
Yes, Julian, so they really got to keep the scoreboard and the run rate as high as he had it previously. It's dipped a bit, and this start of a new over from Hayden Ward Jr. One more to the score, and the Australians 138 for 4. So we have Turner going up to 2, and Marshall is on 60, comes back in the strike. He's driving this one, but straight to the short extra cover fielder. Can't get a run. So Walsh doing some good comeback work there for the West Indies. He's got 2 for 16, and it's been an impressive bowler for the West Indies in the series. Taking some pace off this one. It's short, played back past the bowler, and it goes down to a long off. The fielder coming off the boundary can't prevent the single. One more to the score, 139 for 4 now. Australia 13.3 overs. Marsh up to 61, and Turner is on 2. So what a series Marsh has been having. His third half century. This one is pushed into the offside, and the man having to tumble away to his right. Can't pick it up cleanly. Neither can he prevent the single. So one more to Turner. He's up to 3. Brings Marsh back into strike. 140 for the loss of 4. We're coming close to the end of over number 14. Current rate 10.24. As Hayden Ward Jr. once more. This one is flighted. Again, it's beating the man at the short extra cover down to long off. And fielder having to come off the boundary. 141 for 4. Current rate 10.19. So the West Indies leading the series 3-0, looking to pull things back in this match after the early pacey onslaught by the Australians. This one is too close for the cut by Ashton Turner. Just comes off the inner portion of the bat. We've had the end of 14 overs. It's 141 for 4.
Bro, did you know that if you switch to LED lighting throughout your home, that you could save as much as 80% on your lighting costs?
Yes, man.
And did you know, wait, you knew that?
Of course, I also know that with using LED lights, I get brighter lighting that lasts longer and is better for the environment too. And by choosing my LED lights from Caribbean LED, I get up to 3 years warranty.
Wow, you know very much.
I hear all the ads on radio for Caribbean LED. Call them and ask at 621-0092 or visit them in Laura Estate or Wildy if you don't believe me.
Well, Hayden Ward Jr. with 10 wickets, the leading wicket takers in the series. Obed McCoy with 5 just behind him. Start of a new over. This one is played down to the long off region. Cottrell coming off the boundary. An initial diving effort there. The man at the orthodox mid-off position. He couldn't cut it off. And Cottrell was able to do so in the end as a new over started by Andrew Russell. 1 for 21 from him so far. That wicket of Moses Anike is caught by Allen at the long on boundary in his previous over for 6. Here's Russell again coming wrong the wicket. This one is just ramped down to the long leg region. The chase there for O'Shane Thomas. Gets it now just before it crosses the boundary. And the return comes into the keeper Poran. So 2 more to Turner. He's up to 5 at 144 for the loss of 4. We are coming down into over number 15, so 5.4 overs remaining. And Julian Charles at one stage, it seemed like the Australians were definitely destined to get close to 180, but the West Indies have fought back well. Andrew Russell in once more, passes the umpire, delivers wrong the wicket. This one is struck down to the extra cover region. A good diving stop by Andre Fletcher prevents the possibility of a run. And the batsmen have to return to the respective creases. 144 for 4. Turner is on 5. Mitchell Marsh, again, good batting by him. His third half century looks on as Russell is short outside the house stump. And again, cut once more. Fletcher is there. He feels well. Just goes down on his knees. And Turner is supposed to remain on 5. Marsh, 51. 54 in the first 2 games. 9 in the previous one here on Monday. And now he's on 63 not out. But he's at the non-striker's end. He cannot do too much damage from there. The 5.2 overs remaining in this match. Russell, 2.4 overs, no bailings, 23 runs, 1 wicket. He's driven into the offside. But again, the mid-off comes into play. And there's no chance of a run. So Russell being very tight this over Julian Charles. And we can see a very slight drizzle coming across the ground. This delivery outside the off stump, called wide as well. Not just wide outside the awesome, but also making some good height. We've just maybe one more delivery left in the over, but the covers are already coming on Julian Charles. We don't know how this is going to impact, and maybe some adjustments. We know that we had a brief delay earlier in the innings. So now after 14.5 overs is Ashton Turner 5 not out. Mitchell Marsh on 63. A period in which the West Indies maybe just getting back into the game, but we're going to have another delay.
Yes, indeed. The West Indies have pulled it back well. Australia are probably still on track to get in the region of about 180 odd. But the way they started, it looked like they would have, well, by the halfway stage, looked like they would have easily topped 200. Not that it's impossible now, but it's a lot harder. Marsh will have to continue to bat dip. But one thing I like about them, Ryan, is that the incoming batsmen have taken the pressure off March. They've been going for their shots, even if March is the one that has been out there for quite some time. So they're allowing him to be the one to bat as deep as possible.
Well, Julian, this is a good thing is that the showers are not heavy. The difficulty is that playing in the evening, you cannot actually assess the conditions. You can't really see it coming unless you maybe actually get a view of the drizzle coming across the ground. So with just one delivery having been left in the 15th over, the umpires left with no choice but to get the players off the field. We can't really pick it up now, the drizzle. They're still trying to apply the huge cover after covering the surface, but we doubt whether this will be a stop for too long a period and whether it will actually impact on what will actually happen in terms of this game going the full distance before Duckworth Lewis getting involved at one stage. I remember you telling us that the forecast for today was that they're going to have some intermittent showers, and it is proven to be true. But it's again going to be speculation whether they're going to actually go off with the cover. So it seems like it might just be a very brief hold up, Julian Charles. The West Indian players are still out in the dugout, and are they actually trying to get the cover in a much better position out in the middle? It seems like they might actually be reapplying it, but we can't really see the rain as it is now. We can see the little drift going across the ground. It's getting slightly heavier, so they're taking no chances and covering the entire square. And that partnership between Finch and Marsh yielding 114, Julian Charles, for the Australians, and that was certainly been the dominant factor in this match here today.
Yes, they have laid a solid foundation for the next five overs to go, and they will be looking to get a score in the region of about 200. West Indies will have other ideas though, as they look to peg back the Australians. The spinner Hidden Walsh continue to bowl well. He's bowled his three overs at the moment, got 2 wickets for 19 runs. So whilst the other's been going at almost 10 and over, he's going at just 6 and over. Fabian Allen is to come back as well, and he's going at 8 and over, two overs for 16 runs, and he has had some measure of control. It's good to see that the captain was trying to possibly get a couple of Ocean Thomas's overs out of the way. He did try with Simmons, but I thought that Simmons tried to bowl too fast for one who was just brought in to try to put a lead on the score, and he should have been using his variations, but a couple of times he bowled short and quick down the leg side and was dispatched.
Well, Julian, we see that they're actually opting to remove the covers at this point, which is very good news. So just quickly to remind our listeners that we're into the 4th T20 International between the West Indies and Australia. West Indies already wrapping up the series with 3-0 advantage so far, but tonight the Australians putting up a much better fight. They have won the toss for 4 consecutive occasions. Just making one change today. Jason Berenoff replacing Josh Hazelwood. So the Australians going with Aaron Finch, Matthew Wade, Mitchell Marsh, Alex Carey, Moses Enriquez, Ashton Turner, Dan Christian, Riley Meredith, Mitchell Stark, Adam Zampa, and Jason Berendorf. And the West Indies had a few changes as well, had 4 changes due to Hetmeyer and Obed McCoy having injuries. And they brought in Akil Hussain as well for this game. So the West Indian 11, Nicholas Pooran, Fabian Allen, Sheldon Cottrell, Andrew Fletcher, Chris Gale, Evan Lewis, Andrew Russell, Lendl Simmons, Ocean Thomas, Hayden Walsh Jr. and Akil Hussain. And the Australians deciding they would have gone a bat first after winning the toss. And it seems like Aaron Finch just has the knack of calling right here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. Matthew Wade caught by the Pooran of the bowling of Thomas. That was pretty early in the second over of the match. And the first from Thomas. And he had gone for 5. The score then 1 for 12. The second wicket going down with the score on 126 when Aaron Finch went bowled by Walsh for 53. The man of the golden arm, Mitchell Marsh, is still out there, and he's continuing to really fight on for the Australians. Carey was cotton bowled by Walsh before scoring. At that point, Walsh was on a hat-trick, but that was broken when Moses Enriquez came out. The first delivery he faced got a boundary, but then he went caught by Allen down on the long-on boundary of the bowling of Russell for 6. So the not-out batsman Marsh, as we told you, he's on 63 with 5 4s and 4 6s. And Turner, his 5 runs coming off 8 balls, no boundary struck by him yet, but an impressive number of 6s, Julian Charles. 8 already so far in the innings by the Australians, and 11 boundaries. So in all, they really had a decent start, but now the rate is dropping, Julian, to 9.78. So that in itself, that statistic, is a good reflection as to how well the West Indies have come back.
Yeah, the 2 stoppages would have helped the West Indies to regroup, and meaning that the Australians would have to start back. So, and we did see the loss of a couple of wickets after the first break.
So one more delivery to finish this over from Andrew Russell. His third is going to be Ashton Turner, who is on 5. He'll take strike, and Russell wrong the wicket. This one is hit down to a long on. They feel having to rush off the boundary there rather quickly. In Fabian Allen, he's quick. The over coming to an end. It's 146 for 4. We've had 15 overs. We'll have more from Julian Charles Next is going to be Sunil Ramdin.
Yeah, the Australians well placed to get to a score in the region of 200. So there's the small crowd up to about close to 600. The amount allowed under the COVID protocols. We'll have a long night. They will see, I believe, close to 20 overs from both sides because it's a very flat batting pitch, and the West Indians have done very well in that series. So we'd expect that they would continue batting. But it's important that Australia put a score on the board. Welcome back.
So it's Hayden Walsh Jr. continuing, and it's immediate success once more for Hayden Walsh Jr. And barely have I settled into my seat. That appears he's a bold turner. And Hayden Walsh Jr. having a really excellent series so far. He's racking up best figures after best figures. I'm joined now by Joseph Reds Pereira. Aussies officially the highest score of the series so far, 146. But all the good work that they would have been doing, and he's actually appears he was stumped, Reds. It was so quick. The bails removed so quickly. Good work by Nicholas Puran.
Well, this is a very good fight back for the West Indies. I mean, when the second wicket fell, it was 126. The third at 126. The fourth at 135. And now the fifth wicket has gone down at 146. The wickets have definitely slowed the Australians, and what at one time was looking to be a very sizable score might turn out to be maybe a below par score in 2020.
So Hayden Walsh Jr. Picking up his third wicket so far. There appears to be a bit of a look back, but from what we're seeing, he appeared to be well short of his crease. Ashton Turner stumped Nicholas Puran by Hayden Walsh Jr., who's now picked up his third wicket for 19 runs, and the kid just keeps improving.
Brilliant work. When the West Indies really needed it, this young man came in and has bowled brilliantly, turning the ball both ways.
Walsh Jr. into Dan Christian, who hasn't had a great series so far, just working that into the offside, and off the mark immediately. 1 run, 147 for 5.
And Marsh, like a lighthouse, like a tower, standing there. He's got to bat maybe right through, right down to the last ball if he could.
Well, it's been a tale of 2 innings thus far as Walsh Jr. into Marsh, and Marsh goes forward, just works that behind square. Chris Gale running across to do the fielding. Again, it's a comfortable single. The score moves on to 148 for 5, and Marsh, he takes his total up to 64.
And looking back, one would have thought that after the break, instead of Simmons, the choice could have been Gale. Gale could have come and bowled that 1 over. I'm sure that he would have bowled it very tight.
Walsh Jr. now into Christian, who again works it into the offside. Sharp single, Akil Hossain running around from that mid-off position, but can't prevent the single. Mitch Marsh pretty quick. The score moves on to 149 for 5.
Last 28 runs cost them 4 wickets, Australia.
Hayden Walsh Jr. in now to the informed Mitch Marsh, who just gets forward, works it into the offside. Easy single as Andre Fletcher runs in off that cover boundary to do the fielding. It brings up the Aussie 50. It's 150 for 5.
In 15.5, how many can they get realistically from here? Whether the big hitting can continue by Marsh, that's key.
Final ball of the over from Hayden Walsh Jr. This one, it's given some flight, but good shot by Dan Christian. Getting to the pitch of the ball, driving it through the offside, and beats the fielder on that extra cover boundary. 4 runs. It's 154 for 5 at the end of the over.
C-R-O.
What
you doing? Practicing how to say hello in Italian so I can go impress the folks at Caribbean LED.
You mean because they have the new Fumagalli range of lighting fixtures, ideal for outdoor use, especially for homes like ours in the tropics, affected by constant sunlight and sea spray?
Fumagalli.
Alright, you. Head to the store at Wildy. I will go to the Laura Estate location on my way home. Oh, and it's not Ciao, it's pronounced Chow.
Wait, it's Chow?
The West Indies trying to work their way back into this game after a flying start from the Australians, and they've done a pretty good job of it so far.
Yes, those 4 wickets falling very quickly has just stopped the run flow, and they seem to have just lost their rhythm a little bit.
Sheldon Cottrell back into the attack. Left arm over from this northern end. That one first delivery wide of the off stump, and it will be signaled wide. The extras have moved up to 14. It takes the score onto 155 for 5.
The West Indies bowling will take some interesting reading. The centerpiece will have to be Walsh. The rest not contributing too much.
Well, Puran doesn't have assets like Bravo and Obed McCoy to draw on. He's using Cottrell, this one, into Mitch Marsh, who swings across the line, doesn't make contact. It eventually makes its way square of the wicket on the leg side. Andre Fletcher rushes in off the boundary, but they manage to hustle through for a couple runs. It's 157 for 5.
Well, Andrew Russell has been in front of the Johnson Star stand from ball 1. He can actually claim a little bit of rights to that area.
He's done some good work. Fletch coming off the boundary this time couldn't prevent the second run as Cottrell once more makes his way in. This time bowling to Mitch Marsh, who's in good form, and we see him heave that one just short of a length over, and we were talking about Andre Fletcher on that mid-wicket boundary. Well, clears Fletcher this time. That's a maximum. It's 6 runs. The score moves on to 163 for 5, and Marsh is on to 73 from 40, maybe sensing some urgency now.
And just too short, hitting that over the head of Fletcher, hitting the base of the stand, and Fletcher can do nothing else than jumping over the advertising board and retrieving.
And hitting with this brisk wind, so Cottrell will want to certainly watch his length as he bowls once more to Marsh. That one is also a little bit short. This time outside the off stump. Marsh does go for a similar shot, a swing to the leg side, but no contact this time. Goes through to Puran, no run.
73 of 41, and he's been the revelation of the Australian batting in this series so far.
So Marsh again, he's second, third generation cricketer, right?
Yep, father, opening batsman, selector, manager, everything. And 2 sons who've played for Australia, and he is. And normally he doesn't bat in a test match. He will bat somewhere like number 6, but given the responsibility to come at number 3, and he has handled that role extremely well.
He certainly looked the best of the lot as Cottrell once more into Mitchell Marsh. This one again short. Marsh tries to it's an awkward shot eventually coming off the top of his bat, got a bit big on him, lobbed into the offside. Lendl Simmons running back for a moment, thought he had a chance to catch it. Instead it fell over his outstretched arm, and they were able to scamper through for a single. Risky shot, but I guess it's that stage of the game. 164 for 5.
Yes, just clearing the head of Simmons, who made a major attempt to get back. That would have been a bad loss from the Australian point of view if Marsh has gone, but he has survived, and the total goes to 164 for 5, 16.4 on the board.
It would have been an outstanding catch, however, Simmons diving back. But Cottrell continues his 5th ball of the over, this time into Dan Christian. He attempts to cut that ball, gets an under edge, goes down to Chris Gale at a short 3rd man position. Gale fields, has a shy at the stump, hits the stump, but the batsman had already scampered through for a single, taking the score to 165 for 5.
Yes, can Australia finish strong? Can the West Indies prevent the Australians from finishing strong? And Kristen, mixed with Aboriginal, can hit the ball. 38 years of age, a lot of experience, so he can support Marsh very well.
Cottrell hoping to finish his over well. Pitches up. Dan Christian drives, but there's cover on that extra cover boundary. It's Hayden Walsh Jr. who's been outstanding in the field. He rifles that one into Puran over the stump. It's just 1 run. It's 166 for 5, and that's the latest at the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Well, here's hoping that we don't have another stoppage. We've had two, but luckily I wouldn't say the rain, the drizzle has behaved itself, and it's allowed the game to continue. I thought the first break came at the right time for the West Indies. They could have regrouped, but I think they got it wrong straight away after their resumption by bringing on Simmons. That was a very expensive over, and Australia momentum was right back on.
Yeah, Simmons just one over for 16 runs. But the West Indies are still, considering the flying start the Aussies had, at one point going at just under 12 and over. The current run rate now 9.76 and over. And the Windies would have thought for a moment they may have gotten much more. But it's a change again. Fabian Allen in from the southern end, bowls into Mitch Marsh. And there's a huge appeal from Nicholas Puran, turned down by the umpire. And as soon as it was turned down, Puran went for the review for that caught behind, was it?
Yes, and jumping Allen, appealing, Puran up in the air and running towards the bowler, and then came the review signal. So was there a small little bit of baton to that as we wait?
Well, Mitchell Marsh, I guess you know when you hit a ball, seems to be trudging to the pavilion. So even without a review, I think that may give us some idea that he is in fact out, Reds.
Yes, and the appeal wasn't. Well, I will say that Walsh certainly appealed, supported by supported by Puran, but you didn't get the impression that it looked all that convincing. But we had the break in the lines. There was no unbroken line all the time, and I think he decided that he would have gone off.
Yeah, well, Puran and March certainly knew what was going on. Puran reviewed immediately, and upon the review, Mitch Marsh started to make his way to the pavilion. I guess he knew what was coming. It's not what Australia would have wanted. Marsh striking at 170. He's gone now. He's out, caught behind for 75 in just 44 balls, which would have included 6 sixes and 4 fours. They would have wanted him there for the final run in. That's going to be quite a blow to whatever figure they achieve.
And this could only be described as an Australian slide. 126 for 2, and total now 166 for 6. They might well just about clear the 210, 215 mark.
So it brings Mitchell Stark into the wicket. He can hit them away, and yes, he has played golf up at the Sandals Golf Club at Cap Estate on a couple of occasions. So it's Stark now taking strike from the left-handed. Allen, that was a quick one, pushed through outside the off stump. Stark has a go at it, but it's collected by Puran, no run. Fabian Allen once more, just a minor adjustment to the field by Puran as he comes into Stark, and Stark has a swing, but that one pitched up once more, gets the underside of the bat, goes down to the mid-wicket boundary, but Fletcher quickly off the boundary. It's just a single. Stark off the mark. He's on one, the total 167 for 6.
He has hit the long ball for Australia on a couple of occasions very effectively. Especially that shot over the long on position. He swings to that area.
Allen into Dan Christian. There's a huge appeal, and the umpire's index finger goes up. It's an appeal for LBW. That was a quick delivery by Fabian Allen. We're waiting to see whether Dan Christian will review, but the official signal is that he's out.
Well, that continues to slide. 167 now for 7, and there's a little doubt whether they will get up to 200.
Well, this is reminiscent of the first game, Reds. So we're looking at that. A hint of it going down the leg side. So we'll have to wait on ball tracker.
Yes, the quick the quick look we had just indicated it might have been missing a leg stump. Might have been missing leg stump. So it was worth a review.
Yeah, well fired in by Allen as well, really varying his pace. And, there's some indication that there may even have been an inside edge. So we're just waiting on the final determination. But it may very well be that Dan Christian has survived, but he really hasn't come to the party in this series so far.
No, generally an all-rounder, but has not really started with either ball nor bat. So a reprieve by, for Australia, 167 still, 167 still for 6.
Christian, no youngster, 38 years old, as Fabian Allen bowls once more, this time to Mitchell Stark, who drives the ball, makes its way down to the long on position. Evan Lewis fields. It'll just be a single, 169 for 6.
Yes, he's hardly been called tonight. That's the first time I've actually heard a commentator refer to Lewis. He's being almost an invisible man, but he's feeling in areas where the ball has not come.
Allen pitching up to Dan Christian, drives it back off the bounce. Good work by Allen to collect it. Spectators catch. A couple of people were excited for a moment, but no run at the end of the 18th over. Australia are 169 for 6. That's the latest at the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Old-time bakers in Bim bake from home. Remember the Dutch oven made of stone? Then came the bread cart. Oh, you could smell that bread a mile away. And then there was the bread van. Many have made a living selling from them. Now, your bread is as close to your home as you can get it, because there's sure to be a Crumbs Bakery near you for a wide variety of fresh cakes, pastries, and bread.
Crumbs, so good, even down to the last crumb.
Sheldon Cottrell is continuing the attack and continuing this West Indies fight back. They've done a tremendous job in terms of controlling Australia after that flying start.
Mainly thanks to Walsh and now Allen. So 12 legal balls to come, 168 for 6. It'll be interesting to see how many runs Australia can pick up off the 12 balls. They need every single run. They need a couple of boundaries.
And let's be a thought for Nicholas Puran. I mean, in charge of the team once more. He's done, and it's been talked about his job of marshalling his resources, diminished resources tonight, and once more seems to have done a good job as Cottrell bowls to Marsh, who just drives that down to the fielder on the long on boundary. Runs off the boundary, Fabian Allen. There'll just be one run. It's 170 for 6.
Yep, we're seeing that Cottrell is being brought back. Not all that expensive. Cottrell, 3 overs done for 23, so he can feel to himself that he didn't spray it about too much. But many of the West Indies bowlers tonight were bad off length and bad off line.
Yeah, O'Shane Thomas starting well, getting a wicket, 1 for 6 after his first over, eventually losing his line and shape a bit, 2 for 31 with that wicket as Cottrell continues into Dan Christian. Great effort into the ball. This one, a foolish delivery. Christian had a heave at it, but missed it. Landed just after the stump, and Puran collected no run. Their score remains on 170 for 6.
Trying to hit it off the back foot. Just back to Thomas. We've mentioned it before. I think there've got to be some effort by Roddy Eswick to work out his run. It's not smooth at all. He's chipping out the last 6 or 7 strides.
Cottrell into Christian. Christian drives. It just goes past. It looks like Akil Hussain, who's in that cover area, and the fielder, there's cover on the boundary. They'll just pick up a single. The score trickles on at this stage to 171 for 6.
From the West Indies point of view, not a bad over. Cottrell must be very concerned in the circumstances. He's got to keep the line right.
Cottrell into Stark, and Stark spoons it and does well. He clears the short fine leg fielder Chris Gale well to the right of Gale, and it goes into the boundary. So Stark showing his innovation. He moves up to 7 to score 175 for 6.
Yes, getting almost outside the off stump as he played that shot, but bad bowling here by Cottrell. He was outside the leg stump, or else Stark, with all his batting skills, couldn't get it rung down towards backward square.
So let's see if Cottrell will have a comeback in now to Stark. This one a little bit short, a little bit quicker. Stark goes for the big drive. No timing, couldn't make contact. It trickles into the offside. Fabian Allen, that should be Lendl Simmons, fields, and it's just 1 run. Takes the total up by 1. And the West Indies, they'll be happy so far with the effort.
1 delivery left in the 19th over. So Cottrell wouldn't want to give them a free hit, and just needs to ensure he doesn't bowl a no ball. He needs to bowl a good tight delivery.
Cottrell with the final ball of his spell. Christian swings his bat at it, gets a very thick inside edge, and that ball comes down to Andre Russell on the long on boundary. Just a single, takes the score on to 176 for 6, and that's the latest at the Darren Sammy Stadium.
19 overs gone. And when you look back, Australia would probably feel, they have missed out. Second wicket falling at 126. The first at 12 for 1. 114 partnership, and then you've had wickets falling steadily. And I think the Australian batting, after that partnership between Finch and Marsh, again has failed.
And you also had the run rate falling. It's at 9.26 after being at around 11.8 for a long time. So really credits to the West Indies, credit to their skipper Nicholas Puran for the job they've done so far. Fabian Allen will be the man to bowl the final over.
And no better.
So Fabian Allen with figures of 3 overs, 1 for 18. In now to Dan Christian. Christian tries to swipe that one onto the leg side. It doesn't have enough to make it into the boundary. Hayden Walsh Jr. runs around, collects it now, runs around from that cow catcher position. It's 2 runs, 178 for 6.
Well, 2 runs off the first ball is a good start. Can they continue?
Allen in now to Christian, the 38-year-old Dan Christian. It's a full toss. It's a gift, and it's gone. Dan Christian clears the boundary in that mid-wicket area. A maximum, just what the doctor ordered, 184 for 6.
8 off the over so far. Australia inching up towards 190, 184 on the board. At the end of it, they will still feel they've fallen short by about 40 runs.
Yeah, bad ball by Allen. He would know it's a bad ball. Maybe just putting in a little bit of extra effort. A little bit of moisture out there, I'm sure, with the rain interruptions we've had as he comes in. Third ball of the over to Christian, and Christian swings across the line. Doesn't make any contact. Appear to have come off his pads. Some good work by Puran to restrict the batsman from getting a run. It stays on 184 for 6. Fabian Allen gets ready, just making a small adjustment to the field. Sheldon Cottrell at backward square leg, and Christian drives this ball and drives well. There's not too much cover out there on the offside. The fielder Andre Fletcher runs around from that extra cover region, but it was already into the boundary. 4 runs. Dan Christian, he's finally come to the party, and just when it was needed.
Yep, nice square cut, no backward point, the cover couldn't come around. Yet another boundary.
The score 188 for 6 now as Christian to a full pitch delivery, drives, and the fielder comes off that long on boundary. It's Andre Russell. Just a single this time, takes the score on to 189 for 6. Christian moves up to 23 from just 14 deliveries.
Last delivery, once it's a genuine ball. Stark will probably swing for the hills. Let's see if he'll make contact. Can't be looking to play defensively.
Allen into Stark, and Stark drives at a ball that was quick and outside the offside, makes no contact. The Aussies end with a dot ball. Good work from the West Indies. The final total, 189 Australia, 4-6, having won the toss and opting to bat.
Yes, I think the West Indies could be extremely happy that they have kept Australia down to 189. At one time, they were facing well beyond 220, 240. So a very gettable total. It will take, of course, some disciplined batting, some good selection of shots, and not trying to score too quickly in the early. There's no pressure. The rate has dropped a great deal. What's the rate now on that little bit of information in front of you?
So it's the run rate is 9.52, and it's 189 runs, and you would have heard us saying that a good effort from the West Indies, and that's really because the Aussies were after flyer. You said earlier this evening, before the start of play, Reds, you would like to have seen the Aussies get to around 200, just over 200, because you want to see how the West Indies are going to respond.
Well, maybe we can look at the West Indies bowling as we can go through it. Cottrell, 4 overs, no maidens, not for 31.
O'Shane Thomas started off well. First over, 1 wicket for 6 runs, but then a very expensive second over. He just bowled 2 overs, 1 for 31, wasn't used again.
Russell was initially expensive at his first over, 3 overs, no maidens, and he took 1 for 25.
Akil Hussain coming in as a replacement, very expensive, 2 overs for 24 runs.
Allen again finishing up well, 4 overs, no maidens, 1 for 38, and then came Mr. Walsh,
who continues to impress. I think this is his 3rd consecutive haul of 3 wickets, 4 overs, 3 wickets for 27 runs, even on a hat-trick for a moment, but just didn't get the delivery right.
Yes, the ability to turn the ball both ways, and it did in fact produce a good one to bowl Marsh for 53. It was a beautiful delivery that hit the top of the off stump, and his figures speak for itself. 4 overs, no maidens, 3 for 27.
And what I'm really impressed about, Reds, is how hard he's worked on that delivery that comes back in, and it's gotten him wickets in this series. It's gotten him wickets.
Well, when you got in your armory a googly, you can be a leg spinner, but eventually people will know how he doesn't go the other way. So they know leg break. You might produce maybe a flipper, but I think he has developed into a very useful wicket-taking bowler for the West Indies.
He has indeed, and that's great news for the West Indies, not just in terms of this series, but as they begin their preparations for the World Cup. And of course, the 7th bowler used, Lendl Simmons, just 1 over, I think, per run, trying something, but didn't work out too well. He just had that 1 odd over for 16 runs.
So it's going to be interesting to see what will be the approach of Lewis and Simmons. And I think there's a pattern of them going too hard, too much bang, bang, bang. And there's no need for that when you're chasing 190. There's no need for that. Got 20 overs. Just take your time, create a base, and the rest will fall into place.
So the Aussies, on their part, Matthew Wade, continuing to have a wretched series. He looks good, he just gets out. He was caught behind off Thomas for just 5.
Yes, he's come with a major reputation of a free-scoring soul, but at the top of the order, he has not really produced. And in fact, the effort by Finch is the first really occasion where an opening batsman has got a major score.
Yeah, and Finch and Marsh, good job. They put on a 115-run partnership for the 2nd wicket. Finch, eventually deceived by Walsh, bowled for 53, hitting 5 4s and 3 6s.
Yes. Well, he started from ball 1 to look the best Australian batsman. And as we are in the middle of this 4th game, by far a classy performance, 114 the partnership, And I think when he went for 75, the efforts of Australia to get that 220, 230 simply went with them.
Mitchell Marsh continues to impress. Back-to-back 50s now. He got 75 before he too was caught behind, this time off Allen. He had 6 sixes and 4 fours, a strike rate of 170. Just couldn't stay around until the end.
Nope. And, well, as we've been saying, a bit of a meltdown with the Australian batting. There was a little effort at the end between Christian and Stark, but that came all too late.
Yeah, afterward it was really just a tale of woe, and what we've seen from the Aussies so far in this series. Alex Carey caught and bowled Walsh for a duck. Moses Enriquez, he was caught Allen bowled Russell for 6. Ashton Turner, he was stumped by Paran bowled Walsh for 6. A little bit of resistance in the end from Dan Christian, who was not out on 22. Mitchell Stark had a swing, got himself to 8. But for what looked for a while to be a total of 200, the Aussies could only get to 189 for 6.
It's going to be interesting to see how Meredith and Berendorf will go against the West Indies. Left arm fast, Berendorf, and Merritt did really impress us. Both very, very quickly in the game he played. I think he picked up with 3 for 30. I'm looking forward to see how well they will bowl.
Yeah, Meredith certainly, he would have had a good opening spell. Well, a good first game. He was brought in that last game, and did start off pretty well. Now Josh Hazelwood, who would have really starred in that first match for the Aussies, 4 overs, 3 wickets for 12 runs. He's the one who's sitting out this evening to make way for Bernhoff, having his first go.
Yes, the Australians will play their last game on Friday before they go off to Barbados. And of course, tonight we saw quite a number of the West Indies ODI squad doing their laps, doing their sprints. I don't know if the entire party is here. The information didn't really come through to say that the ODI squad was coming en masse, but we soon will have to turn our eyes to the 3 matches in Barbados, and hopefully if the spike is reduced and the level of new cases are down, you might have a couple of hundred people allowed in the Kensington.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been trying to find out, obviously, and it looks pretty negative at this point that spectators will be allowed in at Kensington Oval, which is really unfortunate. But I think, certainly the government of Barbados has been very cautious in terms of how they confront this pandemic. Maybe some bad news for fans out there in Barbados.
Yes, and I don't think the fans, and I don't know if it's a question of the PR that went with this program to allow anyone with 2 jobs and 50 EC to come in. I don't know if the PR was as good as it should be, or the public wasn't really interested, but we have had a pretty small turnout, to say the least.
Yeah, I think once more it's a case of just this being a new, something new to manage. I think the authorities were just being particularly careful, and thankfully, from what we've seen so far, it's worked well. But the West Indies get set to begin their innings and to continue their partnership. We have Ryan O'Brien in with Julian Charles. Ryan will be joining us in just a short bit. But of course, it's that traditional opening partnership of Evan Lewis and Lendl Simmons.
Going to start their reply, see if they're going to be able to get another good batting display in this evening to overhaul this score made by the Aussies, 190 their target, and I'm sure they'll be looking to achieve that this evening. We'll be looking for another good knock from their top order. They'll need some consistency, so they're just about to start the innings. You say good evening once more to Julian Charles. Lendl Simmons, 64 matches, 1,406 runs, averaging decent 47. So we'll see how he will approach this innings. And it's going to be Stark who will get things going. Evan Lewis, his partner, 42 matches, 1,167 runs, 850s, 200. So he's going to be looking on from the non-strikers end, but it's going to be Mitchell Stark, 39 matches, 48 wickets, 21.15 average in the economy of 7.10, best of 3 for 11. So the 31-year-old left-hander to get the bowling attack on the way for Australia. So Simmons will be taking first strike for the West Indies. This one is worked off the party appeal just coming off the part of Simmons. Maybe thinking for a moment, man, if God's gotten some bat onto that one. It's a bit high on the thigh, Julian Charles. And the Australians, I'm sure, will be feeling much better with the score they got this evening and will be coming out much more confident.
Yes, indeed. But this one, just a bit of a check on the peel from Michelle Stark, more or less apologizing to the batsman for peeling.
Yes, and it had probably pitched a bit down the leg side as well. Going further down and maybe just above the knee roll of Simmons, who is waiting once more. And he's coming over the wicket, the left-handed Stark. This one is played into the offside. Again, there can be no run. So the Australians on their feet looking very busy. Some high energy out in the middle. Looking to defend 189 that they got here this evening at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. And the innings dominated again by Mitchell Marsh. What a very outstanding knock of 75 before he had gone caught by poor enough the bowling of Allen. And really that partnership for 114 for the second wicket really setting up the Australians here this evening. So it's Mitchell Stark to bowl his third delivery. West Indies yet to get off the mark. This one is played back up the track. Again, the bowler in his follow-through fields and there's no run. So the Australians meaning business this evening, Julian Charles. But I'm sure the West Indies would be confident based on the fact that they're 3-0 up and would be feeling confident that they can get this target set by the Australians. They have some firepower in their lineup and will be looking to get a good start. But so far there's been 3 maiden deliveries. A good start by Mitchell Stark. And this delivery is tugged over, long off. It won't go all the way, just maybe a couple of bounces before rolling into the long off boundary. So Simmons going the aerial route. He's had sufficient of this. And off the fourth ball of the innings, he's picked up a boundary going over the long off region.
Yes, West Indies just definitely have the firepower to chase down this very good score of 190. If they do get it, it's going to be a very good match indeed. But good shot from Simmons getting under this one and hitting it 2 bounces over mid-off for 4.
Well, they will need a very good start from these two and to be consistent from their top order. Stark with his 5th delivery, and this one is again driven up into the short extra cover region, misfielded there. A bit of untidy work by the Australians. It's unlike them, and allowing Simmons to get a couple. So their score moves up to 6 without loss, and Simmons himself benefiting by those couple extra runs on the misfield. Full delivery, they split it into the offside. Maybe an awkward bounce, Julian, to be fair enough to the field at short extra cover
was
region.
traveling though, very hard indeed.
Yes, so Simmons is up to 6 after 3 dot balls, 6 runs on the board into the first over. 184 remaining for the West Indies to secure their 4th straight win in the series. This one is just played off the pad, and it's down to the man who has to come off the deep backward square boundary. The return coming in, Mitchell Marsh, but can't prevent the run from being taken. 7 without loss. We've had a completion of the first over in the West Indies innings, and Julian Charles, after the first 3 dot balls, the West Indies are on the way.
Yes, indeed. Ryan, the West Indies will know full well that they will need to have a good start to chase down what is in effect a very good score. I think one could even say a big score, because 190 runs is going to get some taken, but West Indies have the power, the firepower to get there. We know the skills and the talent of Lyndon Simmons, but the big one really, well, quite a few big ones, but if Irvin Lewis could get away, Ryan, we know what he's capable of doing.
Most definitely. Coming into this series, he had just come off of a magnificent series against the South Africans. We'll talk about that as we see the attack being taken up from the the northern end now as Meredith, who looks from the southern actually. Meredith was very quick indeed. This one down the leg side and just to the short backwards square position and well fielded there as well. The partnership stays on 7 and just letting you know that Lewis, as you spoke about, 178 runs from 5 matches in the previous series against the South Africans. But you have Riley Meredith, 3 for 40 at his best, into his 5th game for the Australians. In now to Simmons. Simmons is driving that one in the air. Will get away with it. It's falling just over the mid-wicket region. A big 6 for him. For a moment, thought he might have just miscued, but it had sufficient on it, Julian Child, just landing in an area just in front of the Giants scoreboard. So he's now really going at anything in his arc. And Simmons getting a maximum. He's now up to 13.
Yeah, ball pitched up. Simmons going through the deep mid wicket area for 6. As we know, it's the power play, and only 2 players are out of the circle.
So Simmons is 13, and Lewis yet to score. Simmons having most of the stride. This time he works at one down past the long leg region. Will be a chase, and it's not successful by the long leg fielder. Another boundary for Simmons, so he's beginning to accelerate, and he's playing positive. It's certainly a good start by the West Indies. Simmons moving to 17, all 17 runs on the board belonging to him. A slightly slower delivery. He read it well and just worked it away and picked up another boundary.
Yes, indeed, Meredith, very expensive, as he was in the first game when he went for 12 and over. Has started badly this evening, and Simmons looking to capitalize on it. Meredith really should have been concentrating on the offside field, which is a 5-4, but more to come.
Well, Lewis is just watching on from the non-strikers, and again is short, and Simmons pulls. It will be a challenge for the deep backward square. He can't stop it, so it's another boundary, consecutive boundaries for Simmons. He's really getting into his groove, quick to pounce up and getting the length, and Meredith really strained and not really doing what the Australians would really need at this moment. Too short and giving sufficient room there to Simmons to just pull it. And the batsman at backwards square had no choice but to just run and retrieve.
Yeah, belt off a wicket, anything short at this stage will go.
So there's Lewis looking on at the non-striker saying he hasn't faced a delivery so far in this innings as Meredith into Simmons. This one is played quietly into the onside, and if he'll having to just move from it on to come into field, and they'll collect the single 21 without loss. Or the West Indies team needing 190 for victory. So we were telling you Evan Lewis, after that great series against the South Africans, 5 matches, 178 runs, a highest score of 71, Julian Charles. And in this series, he just played only 1 game. He hasn't scored, did not play in the other 2 games. So he's now really going to get a feel of what it's going to really be like out there in the middle. And definitely it will be another opportunity for him to really show his class. He's a very aggressive batsman, quick to pounce on anything short, and Meredith, I'm sure, would be quite aware of that. Here he is with his final delivery of his 4th over. He's forcing the defensive prod by Simmons. This one is just played into the offside. The over is completed. We've had 22 without loss to West Indies.
That's the sound of doors opening to another Crumbs Bakery to serve another important part of the Barbadian community, this time at Silver Sands in Christchurch, another location with the same Crumbs commitment to bring you a wide variety of fresh cakes, pastries and bread, because they should be as close to you as we can get. Crumbs, now at Silver Sands in Christchurch.
Crumbs, so good, even down to the last crumb.
So we're going on the first change. Berendorf is being brought on from the northern end. 8 matches, 7 wickets, averaging 16.71. His best of 4 for 21. And his economy rate is decent, 7.31. So the left-hander is going to get an opportunity with this relatively new ball. Left-hand medium pacer. This one is a delivery that's really tucking Simmons up. The appeal by the bowler, Berendorf, in his follow-through almost in the face of Lendl Simmons. But the timer is on. We are not sure whether they're going to go for it. They don't seem interested. So good delivery first off by Berdendorf.
Yes, indeed. This one touching down on off and maybe going just a little further outside off and getting the top of the front pad too high, I would say. The keeper also trying for the catch, but in the end, it's just a good delivery, not a wicket-taking delivery.
Yeah, just off the pad, a good diving take by the keeper. Where this one is struck, did it strike the umpire? Yes, it did. Trying to get some evasive action, not to quicken up this one. Someone just smashing that back, and the umpire really needing to trying his best not to get out of the way. And this is really a powerful shot back at the bowler, Berdendorf. Luckily for him, didn't really actually striking the stump. The umpire having to take evasive action and looked a bit awkward, really trying to get up to the wave. Moment thought he had probably taken a blow, but it's actually the top of the stumps. And Berdendorf will continue once more. And luckily for the Australians, the stumps may be getting in the way of another boundary. This delivery just worked off the pads by Simmons. You get one, the fielder coming off the deep mid-wicket boundary. The return coming back in to the bowler's end. So Simmons looking to pounce on anything within his arc. Lewis, who has just faced one delivery, comes into strike, and it's going to be left-hander to left-hander. And 23 without loss. We're into over number 3. The current rate 9.20, and they're not too far off the required rate of 9.51.
Yes, indeed. West Indies on target, going well so far, but it's a tall order. They need to keep up with it as much as possible.
Yes, we also had a no ball being conceded there, Julian. So Berdendorf will have a longer ball. This over. This one is driven well over long off by Lewis. Gets off the mark of a boundary. Getting over the long off fielder, Mitchell Stark, just having to run to retrieve. So good boundary to get off the mark from Evan Lewis. It was well pitched up and giving the room as well. He freed his arms, and Berdendorf guilty there of giving Lewis the length and the width to free his arms.
Yes, ball. This one taking just the bottom of the bat, and but even then it was able to comfortably go over the head of mid-off.
Lewis is off the mark. He's on 4, 28 without loss. Lender Simmons is on 23. Berdendorf in again, and this one is short, looking to pull that down to the backward square region and not making contact, and the keeper and the slip trying to come forward and collect it, but it falls well in front of them, and Lewis remains on 4, and 2 more deliveries left in this first over by Berdendorf. The left arm seamer Julian Charles, not really that consistent, but so far just conceding 6 runs, and I'm sure the Australians will accept that with where the current rate is at this point in time, 10.50 the current rate, and the required rate 9.35. So the West Indies are slightly ahead. They could feel comfortable, and they've got all their wickets intact. Berdendorf in once more, and Lewis is just looking to work that off the pad. We'll get the single. Feel having to come in pretty quickly, and that's the captain Aaron Finch. The over almost completed. Just one delivery left in it. Score moving up to 29 now for the loss of 1. Just 1 extra in the inning so far. No ball. Simmons comes into strike, and the West Indies staying well ahead of the rate that's required, 9.38. They are up to 10.24. Berdendorf with the final ball of his over, the third. This one is played back past the bowler straight as it can possibly, and again the umpire have to get off the way rather quickly. A really powerful strike there by Simmons, getting a boundary to end the innings. He's up to 27, and the score West Indies 33 without loss at the end of 3 overs.
Yeah, very good over for the West Indies. 11 runs coming in this over. An over which started promisingly for Berdendorf and the Australians, but in the end Simmons had the better of him, just hitting this beautiful straight drive down the ground.
And twice in the over, we noticed that by Gustard really having to scramble to get up to the way as well.
Yes, looking quite comical in the end, because as you rightly said, he thought that the ball had probably hit him, but the ball luckily hit the top of the off stump and missed the umpire.
Yes, it looked like he was ringing in agony, but luckily for him, saved by the stump and 2 foot to the Australian, because that one seemed to have been destined for the boundary. but the final ball of the over did get beat the stump, beat the umpire, and got a boundary for Lendl Simmons. But it's going to be Lewis who's going to take straight at the start of a new over, and this guy just went down to the short third man region, can't get any run on that occasion, and it's going to be a dot into the book. 33 without loss. We have Dan Christian coming on for a spell at the southern end. So they have employed their fifth bowler, or rather their fourth, Dan Christian, and is seeing the giant players pavilion in front of him now. He turns, faces as Williams looks and anticipates his next delivery. This one is short. He's pulling off the upper part of the bat. Will it have sufficient to cross the boundary? Yes, it does so now. Julian didn't really time it. Came on very high on the bat, and luckily for Lewis, it's inside the power play, and he was able to get away with that one as most of the fielders were in defensive positions.
Yes, again, Lewis not timing this one, but he was quick on it, quick enough, like a flash onto it. The ball coming up off a bit high on the bat, but still have enough on it to cross the boundary for 4.
So he goes up to 9, and that's just off 6 balls. He's gonna deliver. He's again looking to pull this time, luckily for him, high enough over the long on fielder who's diving in the spare but couldn't get a hand to it, and picks up another boundary. So Lewis is going to play as aggressively as he always does, just back of a length, just on or outside the off stump, and just throwing the arms at that one, and the fielder not able to go up high enough. Alex Carey to pull off the catch, and he's picking up yet another boundary. So Lewis is on to 13. Lendl Simmons 27-41 without loss. This one is wide outside the off stump and called wide too. The arms of Gregory Buffett are spread wide indeed. So the pressure on Christian, conceding 9 runs so far in this over. He's just started his spell, the 4th bowler used by the Australian team, and the West Indies making a bold effort to get at the target of 190. The current rate up to 12. Julian Charles, so they've really stepped it up and giving a positive start to the West Indies innings. This one from Christian again wide outside the off, and will be called wide as well. So they're really easing the pressure on the West Indies batsmen, not just the extra runs, but having extra balls to deliver and extra balls for the batsmen to face, making the target much more achievable with the number of deliveries that they can face. 43 runs of 24 balls so far in this innings for the West Indians. It's Evan Lewis. And Christian from the southern end. This one is struck way over his head. This will go all the distance, no doubt about it. The contrast of the white ball just to the right of the giant side screen at the Players Pavilion end, just hitting on the up. There was Evan Lewis looking very impressive indeed. He got the maximum. So he's now struck 3 4s and 1 6. His personal score up to 19, and the West Indies to 49 without loss.
Yes, this time we see Lewis just easing himself into the shot, not trying to hit it too hard like the previous ones. And this one sailed over the boundary with quite a lot of power as well, straight down the ground for 6.
3 extras in the innings, 2 wides, 1 no ball. Just hit that one on the up. Evan Lewis, very good shot. This one is pulling on this occasion, and it will go way over the long on boundary for 6. So again short, he went at it, got it, maybe not exactly in the meat of the bat, Julian, but we could have seen that it would have gone all the way. So he's picked up consecutive 6s. Evan Lewis short just outside the house when he had to fetch it, and successfully as well, and he is really inched up behind Simmons. He's now on 25. The 50 for the West Indies also coming up, Julian Charles, and the 50 in 26 deliveries, 18 minutes, 7 4s and 3 6s, and this opening partnership yielding 55 runs. So very good start by the West Indies. Their current rate 14.35. Again, he's advancing. This one is struck down to long on. The fielder coming across. They go for 1, and that's all it'll be. So Christian proving very expensive in this first over. and he has gone for 23. 4 overs completed. It's 56 without loss.
Anytime is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Now with 2 convenient locations, Fairchild Street in the city and Speightstown, St. Peter. Try their snack boxes, 2 pieces, fries and a bun for only $12.99, or the loaded fries with chicken deliciousness for only $11.99. With barbecue and fried chicken, delicious burgers, the freshest salads and sides. Anytime is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Follow at Crispy Fried Chicken BDS on Instagram.
So the West Indian batsman taking a liking to Dan Christian. He has gone for 23 in his first over, and they're going to resort to Zampa to see if he can make an impression in this game. So we're going to have some spin from the northern end of the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground, where Zampa has been introduced most of the games. 45 matches, 43 wickets, 24.84 is average, a best of 3 for 14. Economy of 7, little over 7, Julian, and I'm sure they'll be looking for that sort of performance from him this evening.
Yes, indeed. Unlike the other bowlers, hope from Australian point of view, they would want to see him bowling to get wickets instead of bowling to prevent 4s and 6s.
Yes, but if he can do that, it will place some pressure on the West Indies, maybe slow down the scoring rate, but so far it's up at 14 as Zampa starts. This one is outside the off stump. A good take by Wade. This one just outside the off stump. Lewis looking to maybe just guide his career, didn't really wind up for the very attacking shot. He's seen 5 men in a ring on the offside, including Stark at mid-off, where it all ends here, all on the edge of the circle. This time he's using his feet, driving that one, maybe just one bounce into the boundary. So he's using his feet, getting to it well, Julian, and just getting it over the head of the bowler. The long on was wide, and there was no way he would have got that just to go and retrieve.
Yes, indeed. Well played, knowing that there was no one in the position. Lewis lifting the ball elegantly and powerfully down the ground for 4. Of course, we're still in the power play, so he's only allowed 2 fielders out. That is, Zampa only allowed 2 fielders out.
So Lewis capitalizing, and he's also gone past Lendl Simmons. He's now up to 30, and he's just faced 12 balls. Simmons 27 from 15. Zampa again, this one is on the pad. This time he'll just get a single. This one played into the onside, and they feel having to coming from the mid-wicket region. So Adam Zampa being roughed up initially, just 5 runs of 3, but Lewis not letting him settle on a line or length, and we saw him using his feet to pick up a boundary so far in that over. So Zampa will have to come back. We'll need to end this first over strong for the Australians. 13.56 the rate by the West Indies. So far this one is pulled down to long on, just short of Stark, almost getting down to the hands of the long on. It was flat, and Stark did well to judge it, allowed it to drop in front of him, and just the single. 62 without loss. Simmons goes up to 28 and brings Lewis, who's on 31, back into strike. So Zampa's come back relatively cool. He stayed collected. He hasn't been too flustered, not really panicking. 6 runs conceded so far. He's over and he's looking to make room, and he's bowled him, looking to make some room to cut square. So Zampa gets the success. The first wicket going down. 62. Lewis a bit casual, looking to make some room to guide that one. Squaring the offside, missing, and the ball cannoning into his thumb. So Zampa successful. The googly there on that occasion, just going away. He tried to make some room, and the googly just beating the bat and kissing the off stump. So the West Indies losing the first wicket. Evan Lewis bowled by Zampa for 31 of just 14 deliveries.
Yes, a good comeback by Zampa after being treated roughly in the early part of the over. Where, as you rightly said, Brian, it looks a bit of a careless shot because Zampa was bowling very flat. There's no indication that he would be flighting, and this ball was flat and left him, and Lewis making room, exposing off his stumps, lost his off stump. Not a good looking way to go.
So the West Indies are losing the first wicket, and certainly I'm sure they would have hoped that these two would have continued on the merry way. So Chris Gayle is a man who is coming out at 69 matches, 1,796 runs, averaging of 30, strike rate 140. 14 50s and 200s at this level. So remember that wonderful innings he had in the previous game here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground that really bolstered the West Indies when they were able to come away with a 6-wicket victory in the previous match against the Australians to give them the 3-0 lead. He's just looking around the field. He'll be looking for another good knock from him here this evening, a knock of 67. Chris Gayle had sort of signaled some sort of form, but Zampa is in. This one is driving, will not be the extra cover field who's diving to his right, prevents the single. Good work by the Australian, working in partnership, and overcomes to an end. We've had 15 completed. The West Indies 62 for 1, more from Julian Charles, and it's going to be Sunil Ramdeen to continue the ball-by-ball commentary.
It's a flying start by the West Indies, comparable to Australia, who at the same stage were 12 runs and over. So clearly West Indies still very much in the game, looking to dominate it later down the line with the big hitters. We saw a bit of a loose shot from Lewis a short while ago when he was going so well, but this is the nature of T20 cricket, where you've got to keep going, and obviously feeling the scoreboard pressure, just felt like continuing. But this brought in Chris Gayle, and we all know the power of Chris Gayle, and it's a very decisive time in the match.
So it's been a good power play so far, 62 for 1. The West Indies scoring at 12.40. Required run rate 8.53. Apart from Lewis, sort of gifting his wicket to Zampa in that last over. Mitchell Starc is back from the southern end, bowling to Simmons, who drives, but can only find the fielder in that long off position, and there'll be no run.
Well, what a start by the West Indies. Tremendous opening before Lewis went. Zampa picking up his first wicket in the series.
It's been a tough series for Adam Zampa, a tough series for the spinners in general, a tough first couple of games for Mitchell Starc. Had a good comeback in that last match. He'll want to continue that, but this delivery pitched up, Lendl Simmons guides it between that short third man and the wicketkeeper. Good looking shot, and he'll pick up a boundary for that. He moves on to 32, the score 66 for 1.
I think Simmons will be very happy with that description. It took the toe of the bat, but didn't leave the ground at all. It went along the ground very, very quickly. Yet another boundary.
Certainly the ambition was there from Simmons as Starc runs in once more to bowl to the right-handed batsman from Trinidad and Tobago. This one pitched up outside the off stump. Simmons tries to replicate his shot, but this time made no contact with the ball. Goes through to keeper Wade. There'll be no run. The score remains on 66 for 1.
Well, Australia really need to set the West Indies back a bit with a couple of wickets, but this is a very good foundation for Gayle to come. What sort of innings he's going to play. Will he play in the same freedom, look to hit the ball long?
Starc in once more to Simmons. This one is short. Simmons attempts to cut short and wide outside the off stump, but once more making no contact. Keeper Wade collects, and there'll be no addition to the score.
Umpire just having, well, maybe not a word with Starc, but just indicating that he was getting close to the danger area. Came down and kicked away whatever little bit of turf might have been there.
Starc into Simmons once more. This one pitched up, and Simmons drives and drives well. He gets that one straight as a rocket. No one can stop that. Hits the boundary board now behind the bowler's back. Good looking shot from Simmons. Certainly looks up for it. He moves on to 36. The score 70 for 1.
Pitched up, and he leaned back and hit that with a lot of weight onto the back foot. Hit it clean over the head of Starc. And he is really being in a very attacking vein, and I expect maybe one or two shots, he's looked very well organized.
Stark into Simmons once more. This one pitched up again down the leg side. Wade chips to his left, collects it. It will be signaled wide now. One more to the extras column. Extras for Australia moving on to 4. The score 71 for 1. And Simmons, naturally aggressive. You would have seen that last shot for 4, clearing his front leg and really playing through the line of that delivery.
And Australia must be so disappointed that they didn't get the 240 that they looked at one time set on.
The last ball of the power play now. This one appears to have gotten a bit of an inside edge. Seems to catch Adam Zampa, who's at a short fine leg, totally unawares, and the ball eventually went past him. By the time he reacted, it was on its way to the boundary. Another boundary for Simmons. He moves on to 40. The score 75 for 1, and that's the latest at the Darren Sammy Stadium after the power play.
Bro, did you know that if you switch to LED lighting throughout your home, that you could save as much as 80% on your lighting costs?
Yes, man.
And did you know, wait, you knew that?
Of course, I also know that with using LED lights, I get brighter lighting that lasts longer and is better for the environment too. And by choosing my LED lights from Caribbean LED, I get up to 3 years warranty.
Wow, you know very much.
I hear all the ads on radio for Caribbean LED. Call them and ask at 621-0092 or visit them in Lower Estate or Wildy if you don't believe me.
The brighter side.
So after the power play, almost a dead heat. The Aussies made 72 for 1. The West Indies are 75 for 1. As it's a change once more. Meredith in from this northern end to bowl to Chris Gale, who just guides that ball down to third man. He ambles through for a single. Gale, I think that he's finally off the mark, yes. And it takes the score on to 76 for 1.
He bowled quite quickly in his first game. Really runs in and lets it go strong top body. He got height, the ideal looking fast bowler. How effective he's going to be. Can he withstand the onslaught we've seen here? The power play, 75 runs, 75 for 1 off the power play. And Australia doesn't seem to have too much of an answer to stop the run rate.
Not so far. Meredith, he would have been pretty expensive in his first over, going for 15. Simmons took a liking to him. He's into Simmons now from the northern end. And Simmons shaping up just to paddle that ball. We all saw it coming, and Meredith gave it to him on a platter. And he's able to guide it down to that fine leg boundary. No cover down on that boundary. It's another... it's 4 more runs for Simmons. He moves on to 44. The score 80 for 1.
One of the shots of the modern game, the scoop, just pitched up outside the leg stump, just getting the bat under it, and it'll do the rest. You can't set a field placing for that. So the onslaught continues. 80 for 1.
Well, they've tried Zampa now into fine leg as Meredith once more into Simmons, and he replicates the shot once more. It's a paddle this time, much squarer. It goes down to that long leg boundary, but same result. Another 4 for Lendl Simmons. He moves on to 48 in just 24 balls. The score 84 for 1.
I wonder what Ranjit Singh and W. Grace would think of those shots.
Oh, their jaws would be on the floor.
Well, I think it was a Zimbabwean Flower who really started that pick-up scoop shot.
The elder Simmons in the pavilion being entertained by this innings so far. Meredith into Lendl Simmons. That one's full and wide of the off stump. Simmons had to bring his bat down quickly, made its way to the fielder in that point position, no run.
And in the words of the great late John Arlott, he bowled a maiden ball.
He did bowl a maiden ball. And Lendl Simmons, he's finally carried on a bit. He's had some good starts in this series. 48 runs now. You really want him to get that half century as Meredith runs in once more to the right-handed Simmons. It's a full delivery. Simmons reaches for it, but all he can do is get an under edge that goes to the keeper, which means there's no opportunity for a run. The score remains on 84. Simmons remains on 48.
And Chris Gale, maybe just seeing a little loss of concentration, getting a little too loose. Comes down the track, stops halfway, communicates in the best way he could, maybe just trying to cool Simmons down.
Meredith, his final ball of his second over. None for 24, expensive so far. This one pitched up. Simmons drives into the offside. The fielder on the cover boundary comes in, gets the ball back into his keeper, keeps the batsman to a single. Simmons one short now of his 50-49. The score at the end of the over, it's 85 for 1.
Well, the Australians were lucky to have a couple of fairly low-scoring overs at this point. That's the only way they can probably get among the wickets, if they can force the West Indies to start taking chances. But right now the runs are coming so easily for the West Indies. 7 overs, 85 for 1.
So Chris Gale continues to wait and watch. Simmons getting a single off that last delivery of that over. Mitch Marsh into the attack now. Simmons takes the strike, just works this down to the vacant mid-wicket position. The fielder running off that deep mid-wicket boundary. It's just a single, but it's a single that gets Lionel Simmons to a milestone. It brings up his 50, takes the score on to 86 for 1.
And when Gale went down, I think that was exactly what he was communicating. Look, don't throw it away now. Just play with soft hands. The single was all about the place. And that's the single that brought him 50. 28 balls and a lot of boundaries.
Marsh into Gale, and Gale has a swipe at that one. Cannot clear the fielder on the long on boundary. Looks like Berendorf. Good catch, jumping, catches it over his head. The Chris Gale show is over. He just added 1 to the total, and certainly lots of fans in to hope they see a repetition of what he would have done. No such luck tonight.
Well, maybe that the advice he gave to Simmons he could have very well used himself, because he's just one on the board. And looking to hit that over the long on boundary. As you describe, a very good catch indeed, And Australia really needed to see the back of Simmons. Would welcome the fact that they've picked up Gale and the West Indies have lost their second wicket.
Yes, they will. So the West Indies now on 86 for 2. Chris Gale, the batsman who was just out for 1 run. Lionel Simmons is still there. He would have just gotten to his 50 of 28 balls, which would have included 9 fours and 1 6, striking at 178.57. And Simmons, once he remains there, we know can certainly take this game away from the Aussies. 4 openers in this Windies team tonight. Lewis would have gone. We've just seen the departure of Gale. And now Andre Fletcher, who's opened for the side, he's in to take strike.
Well, he gets a fine opportunity to use up the remaining overs. Simmons is going very well at the other end. He doesn't need to compete. He needs to knock the ball around, look to get 30 or 40 not out. He's only averaging 21. He's had many opportunities for the West Indies. He needs to take this one now.
Marsh into the 33-year-old Fletcher. There's an immediate appeal for LBW, and very slowly the umpire Wilson responded, his finger up in the air. Fletcher immediately reviewed, but what do you think, Reds? An appeal won immediately.
Well, our position is really at a white third man position. If we were where we will normally be in the media box, we'll have a fairly good idea the line, where the ball was pitched, which part of the pad it was hit, and
well, there appears to be a big inside edge, which is why I think Fletcher would have reviewed quickly. But, not the most confident shot to start his innings off with. Just poking at that ball, which would have been pitched up to him. The umpire now giving the signal that he's recalled that decision of out. Fletcher continues, maybe a bit more circumspect.
No, a good point. It wasn't a good shot, but the inside edge certainly saved him.
Marsh into Fletcher. This one again pitched up. This time he's behind this delivery, pushing it back to Mitchell Marsh, the hero of the Aussie innings, and he fields off his own bowling. No runs, 86 for 2. Fletcher, of course, with 901 T20 runs under his belt, and average, as you said, Reds, just over 21.
Yes, being very watchful there, just coming forward very carefully, playing back to the bowler.
Marsh this one just backward of a length. Fletcher again watchfully behind this delivery, plays it out into the offside. The Aussie fielders move across quickly, and there's no chance of a run.
And with the fall of Gale, the West Indies have, for a short while at least, have lost the scoring. But Simmons is a non-striker, so that's the key.
Well, some consolidation to do here at the moment as Marsh once more into Fletcher again behind this delivery, pushing it out into the offside. No run. So good over from Mitchell Marsh. His first over, 1 wicket, 1 run, and a score at the end of the 8th over. The West Indians are 86 for 2.
C-A-O. C-A-O.
what you doing?
Practicing how to say hello in Italian so I can go impress the folks at Caribbean LED.
You mean because they have the new Fumagale range of lighting fixtures, ideal for outdoor use, especially for homes like ours in the tropics, affected by constant sunlight and sea spray?
Si, Fumagale.
Alright you, head to the store at Wildy. I will go to the Laura Estate location on my way home. Oh, and it's not Ciao, it's pronounced Chow.
Wait, it's Chow?
The action is at the Darren Sammy Stadium in St. Lucia. Adam Zampa is into the attack from the northern end. He's bowling to Lendl Simmons, and this one, Simmons just works into that vacant mid-wicket position. Once more, the fielder having to running off the boundary, just 1 run. He moves on to 51 to score 87 for 2.
Nice bit of footwork by Simmons there. Not trying to hit it too hard, just playing into the square leg area. Maybe initially thought that he played it soft enough. He might have gotten a second. So Fletcher is now into battle with Zampa, whose figures is probably the best for the series, 1 for 7.
Zampa into Fletcher, who drives at a full delivery. The fielder coming off that cover boundary, doing some good work and getting the return quickly into Wade. They managed to run through for a single. Fletcher's off the mark. The score 88 for 2.
Good work done by Henriquez, right back on the square cover boundary.
Zampa in this time to Simmons, who's back and driving, just manages to get it past the close in fielder. And once more, Henriquez in action coming off that boundary, and once more through for a single. Simmons on to 52 now. The score 89 for 2.
Short enough to allow Simmons to play off the back foot into the covers.
Zampa in now to Fletcher, who's behind that delivery. Good work by Zampa, diving across to his right, stopping that ball and stopping any chance of a single. Zampa to his crease now. 1.4 overs, 1 for 9. Looking good so far. Into Andre Fletcher. This one is pitched up a bit quickly, not too much flight on that delivery. Fletcher just getting forward and pushing it into the offside. The fielder from point make sure that there's no run.
Fletcher looking a little anxious to try and get the ball away. He's got to be a little more patient.
Zampa with his final delivery of his second over. Again pitched up once more. Fletcher watchful, just plays that ball into the offside, and no run. The West Indies at the end of the 9th over in reply to Australians' total of 189. Well, they're 89 for 2.
A good over by Zampa, and maybe his best 2 overs in this competition. Pitching, turning, and took some watching from Fletcher. You think of Fletcher, you think of Grenada. One of the early batsmen that they produced was Evelyn Gresham in the late 40s and early 50s. A very elegant stroke player.
Marsh continuing into Simmons, chips down the wicket. Marsh holds that one back, and Simmons just works it backward of square leg, picks up the single, easy single, takes the score to 90 for 2, and Simmons moves on to 53.
Giving the strike away straight away, saying to Fletcher, you got to be part of this effort. 90 for 2, chasing 190. They got wickets in hand. So the West Indies have worked themselves in a very strong position after Australia had a meltdown in the middle order.
Marsh in now to Fletcher, and Fletcher drives, gets that one straight, and it does beat. There is a fielder on that long off boundary, but he couldn't get around in time. Barenhoff beats him into the boundary. Andre Fletcher showing intent. His first boundary of the evening, moves on to 5. The score 94 for 2.
Getting onto the front foot, and a lot of right hand and right arm into that shoulder. Hit it straight past the bowler, bisecting long off and long on.
Marsh once more into Fletcher, and Fletcher gets back and cuts. This time can't beat Mitchell Stark, who's in that point position, and it's a welcome dot ball for Australia. Marsh, the hero with the bat for Australia, scoring 75 runs in 44 balls, now trying to replicate that with the ball.
Went straight to backward point. Fletcher needed to play that a little later, a fraction later, and he would have beaten the backward point.
Marsh now into Fletcher. And this one just short of a Lanka. Fletcher initially thinking of chipping down the wicket, just had to fend that one off into the offside. The bowler following through ensures that the batsman did not think of going through for a single. Fletcher remains on 5, the score 94 for 2.
Yes, Marsh, a thinking bowler, doesn't have the genuine speed of some of his other colleagues, but he's going to use the seam, and he's going to have some change-up deliveries. Has got a slip, so a short third man on a backward point, keeper standing back.
Marsh into Fletcher now. That one short but keeping low, and Fletcher just paddles it behind square leg. There's a fielder on the boundary. It's Zampa. He rifles in the return. It'll just be a single. Fletcher moves on to 6. The score 95 for 2.
Did you give that flash score? El Salvador 2.
Trinidad none. So Trinidad losing in their Gold Cup encounter with El Salvador, going down 2-0. The Aussies are down 3-0 in this series, and they're trying to get one back. The West Indies, they'll want to go 4 up. The men in the middle, Lendl Simmons and Andre Fletcher. Mitch Marsh with the ball to Simmons. That one's short, and Simmons pulls it down to that cow corner position. However, the fielder quickly off the boundary gets the return in. The Aussies have done some good work in the outfield today. It's just 1 run. Simmons moves on to 54 to score 96 for 2. That brings us to the end of the 10th over. Ryan O'Brien will be in to take over commentary. The score is 96 for 2.
Well, the West Indies going very well as Ryan slips in next to me. 10 overs gone, 54 Fletcher off 32 balls, and 54 Simmons off 32 balls, and Fletcher looking for a good hand in this game, in this series. Not that on 6 off 12 is going to be Zampa, and then it's going to be Ryan O'Brien as Zampa comes in and looks to play a square drive. Ball just out in the offside and picked up by the keeper. Time to come back to Ryan as he takes over the commentary.
So 97 now for the loss of 2. Zampa looking for much more control in this over. Fletcher is on 6, and he's been a bit pedestrian off 12 balls. This one is an appeal. He's looking to work that one down the leg side. There, doesn't make contact, comes off the pad. So Fletcher is really taking some time before he is settling in this innings. And we'll see what will be the results. They've gone up to have a look at it. 97 it is now for the loss of 2. Maybe we can let you know Simmons not out 55. Lewis was bowled by Zampa for 31. And we have in the review now, and this one is pitching and maybe very, very close for Fletcher. Chances are he will be heading back to the pavilion, going across it at the last moment. And so we are seeing whether there's ultra edge, whether there's any contact before the ball cannons into the pad. And Julian Charles Fletcher may be having the cardinal sin there, maybe just going across it at the last moment, and his feet nowhere in line where he could have. He actually made an initial trigger movement across his off stump and looking to play that one across the leg and just missing the outside of the off stump. So the review is a loss. So luckily for him, that one was moving further away with the turn from the leg spinner, and Fletcher gets away with another review. He's tapping at his mark. Zamba from the northern end into Fletcher, and Fletcher's on the back foot, and he's bowled him on this occasion. This time not being 3 times lucky, playing on the back foot again, going across the line. He looks on in anguish, but he's got to go. So Fletcher goes, bowled by Zampa for 6, and the West Indies losing the third wicket with the score 97 and the run rate down to 9.24, the required rate 9.79, and the luck just running out for Fletcher.
Yes, indeed. Not a good shot. Twice in a row, trying to hit across the line to balls pitching short of a good length and speeding onto the bat. Fletcher laid on a shot and was comprehensively bowled. While the West Indian batsmen don't appear to be getting to grips with Sampa's spell this evening. With the marked difference I've noticed is the fact that he's bowling a lot flatter in this game than the previous games, and twice the batsmen fall into injudicious shots.
But it seems like that one was a much quicker delivery as well too, Julian, from Zampa, and Fletcher is just guilty of being too late on the shot, going across it slightly and being bowled for 6 runs.
Yes, indeed. Fletcher never settling down really, never settled down nicely as one would have hoped. And instead of going for the straight bat shots, twice electing to go across the line.
So Zampa, some success in this game, 2 for 10 so far, and his figures looks much better now. This time he's coming forward. That's the new batsman Puran, who is coming to join Lendl Simmons. Simmons is there. He's not out on 55. So it's shaping up to be a good series for him as Zampa is back at his mark. Must be buoyed with the success he's had so far, 2 for 10. And this one's a delivery to which Puran is coming on the back foot, picking up the line and the length, and did well to get back, watched it onto the face of the bat, and played it defensively back up the track. 10 dot balls also in this spell from Zampa, an economy of 3.53, and this could well be his night. He's passing. The umpire's one is short and hit hard into the ground by Puran. 2 square to get any runs. Alex Carey comes across. He fields. So another over comes to an end. 97 for 3. That's the latest score here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground.
It's a super sale now on at CaribbeanLEDlighting.com. Shop online and find the fixtures you're looking for at super low prices. Get flush mounts, wall mounts, vanity lights, pendants, and even chandeliers, all now on sale. Reap the savings on the perfect accessories to style or restyle your home inside or out. Log on to CaribbeanLEDlighting.com for the super sale now on.
Caribbean LED lighting. Look on the brighter side.
Back here at Darren Sammy Cricket Ground, the West Indies needed 93 more runs to win from 54 balls. It's going to be a bit uphill, but let's see if Simmons, who has been there for 33 balls for his 55, whether he can keep the tempo up. He's not really had to strike as much in recent over. This one is just played into the onside. The fielder having to coming from the mid-wicket region and will just restrict the batsman to 1. He goes up to 56, and together with Nicholas Puran, they will have to build a partnership for the 4th wicket to get the West Indies close to their 190 target. They are approaching the 100-run landmark, And Simmons, who's already gotten past his first out of his 50, he's up to 56. And Puran, who's faced 3 deliveries, comes into strike. He's not yet off the mark. So Berendorf will be having other ideas, looking for success. 11 runs off his first over. He's now bowled 1.1 overs and he's conceded 12. Looking for his first wicket. The wicket's going to Zampa, 2 for 10. Marsh, 1 for 8. So we can see a slight adjustment to the field. A man at the backward point coming across to the short mid-wicket region. And that's Riley Meredith as Bredendorf in, and this delivery is forcing Puran into a defensive shot, almost getting tangled there with bat on his pads. But luckily for him, got the pads out of the way and played it back up the track for Bredendorf to field. And there's no run, so the tall left armour being switched to the southern end. Started at the northern end here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. 98 for 3. This one is a delivery again, pushed back up the track. So he's found the perfect length and he's been keeping it very tight, and as far as ensuring that the batsmen don't have any room to play forcing shots. They're burning enough and starting his second over in a very tidy fashion. None for 12. So most of the Australians inside the restrictive circle. And it's deep backward screw on the boundary and the deep into wicket. This one is driven down too long off. Fielder coming off the boundary. And we'll get the single as Christian comes in and gets a return back up to the keeper's end. 11.4 overs, 99 for 3. So the West Indies looking to get over that 100-run mark and trying to count down. They've still got some overs remaining, 8.2, but they'll need to step it up. They're slightly behind the rate. This one is an attempted pull down to backward square. No contact made at all on that occasion by Simmons, and it goes through to the wicketkeeper Matthew Wade. So Australia definitely pulling things back. The required rate at this point in time, 11.14, and the West Indies seem to be struggling a bit to get back the early momentum they had when the innings started. 8.37 the current rate, and they are 99 for 3 with Bredendorf. This one delivery left in the second over, and this one is pushed down too long off. The field having to come to his left. They're a bit slow in going for the run, but the 100 comes up for the West Indies at the end of 12 overs. And the West Indies, I'm sure, happy to get at 176 deliveries, and they would like to ensure that they can keep this partnership going and make some sort of attempt at the remaining 90 runs. So the 100 runs of 76 deliveries, 56 minutes, 14 fours and 3 sixes.
Yes, Australia really getting into this game now, having been the last couple overs really pulling it back on the West Indies. The West Indies will really want to increase the tempo. Having said that, though, the batting does not appear to be as deep as the other games. You've got just Russell and Fabian Allen, and then you're down into the bowlers in Hidden Walsh. So maybe this is the reason why we've seen some circumspect batting by the West Indians at the moment.
So Meredith is taking it up from the northern end, and this one is driven square in the air. The fielder coming across, can't get to it, just one bounce to him. And that was Simmons there, hitting that one on the up. And the single taken, so it's 101 now for the loss of 3. Nicholas Puran comes into strike, so they've really got to take advantage of this particular spell, the middle overs of the innings, and that's where they really need to accelerate. Still some 89 runs away from their victory target, the West Indies. Lendl Simmons 58. Puran has been a bit sluggish out of the blocks, but he can turn it around in any time. 1 run to his credit. He's now on strike. He's already faced 6 balls, and West Indies will be needing for him to get going as soon as possible. Here's Meredith once more and over the wicket. This one is played down to the backward of square region on the onside. 1 run taken. The return coming into the base of the stumps, and Matthew Wade takes it low down. 1 more to the score. 102 for 3. Puran is up to 2. Partnership still in its fledgling stage. Just 5 runs. 12.2 overs already gone. 7.4 remaining. 38 balls. And the countdown on for the West Indies. The target 190. They're 102 for 3. Meredith with a very long run up into his third over. Passes. The umpire, this one is attempted, hits square of the offside. Doesn't make any contact. Goes through to the keeper. Waits for another dot ball. Continuing to add to the pressure for the West Indies. Simmons has been there for quite some time, and Julian Chargers seemed to lose some of his momentum.
Yes, definitely so. And the Australians have really turned it on now. We've seen some variations which the West Indians have not been able to be able to overcome.
102 for 3. Here's Meredith once more. And to this delivery is just attempting to work it on the leg side. Doesn't make any contact. So again, no runs being conceded. So Australia keeping the pressure on the West Indies. Simmons on 58, and the other column is mounting, right? His score remains pretty stagnant. So he's now faced 39 balls for his 58 runs, still better than a run a ball. But earlier on, the way he had raced to his half century has really been slowed down. And I'm sure that must have been the effect of the loss of 3 wickets around him and maybe different times being off strike. But it's been a good over from Meredith so far. His third, now to deliver his fifth of the over. This one is well pitched up, and again, the batsman Simmons having difficulty in getting bat onto ball. A good length on that occasion, almost in the block hole, and there was no chance of Simmons getting bat on that one.
Yes, indeed, bowling some wide yorkers, if you like, way out on the crease and just a couple of feet out of Simmons's reach. So it's very difficult to get under them. Of course, the margin of error is it's not high.
So after the opening partnership of 62, the West Indies have found the runs are a bit tough to come by. This one is outside the off stump and too wide on this occasion, and the outstretched arms of the umpire signaling the wide delivery. So the scoreboard will go up just marginally with that single, and that will also go to the extras column, which is now on 5, including 4 wides and 1 no ball. Simmons is on 58, and the opening partnership of 62 runs had really set the stage, but so far the Australians have come back tremendously. Meredith to Simmons is looking to drive. This one is peeling off the outer edge and quickly goes down to the third man boundary. So some pressure being eased there with that outside edge down to third man. The fielder on the boundary having no chance of getting to it. Simmons moves into the 60s. He's on 62. It's 107 for 3 at the end of 13.
Any time is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Now with 2 convenient locations, Fairchild Street in the city and Speightstown, St. Peter. Try their snack boxes, 2 pieces, fries and a bun for only $12.99, or the loaded fries with chicken deliciousness for only $11.99. With barbecue and fried chicken, delicious burgers, the freshest salads and sides. Anytime is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Follow at Crispy Fried Chicken BDS on Instagram.
So that one almost so wide in the previous over. So the West Indies need 83 now from 42 deliveries. This one is wide outside the off stump, and Puran looks at it squared, gets it to fine, straight to the fielder, can get a run, and it's going to be very tight from now on. 83 more to win from 41 balls. The West Indies, that's what they're going to have to achieve if they're going to win this game. And Marsh has got 1 for 8, and he's been very tidy, having a good all-round game. Chances are he will be receiving some accolades at the end of this game. 2.1 overs, no maidens, 8 runs, 1 wicket. He's operating from the southern end. Passes the umpire, no umpire. After this one is driven square by Puran. Looks good, will get runs on this occasion. The fielder coming across and doing some very good work there to cut that one off. Moses Enriquez, and in the process, Puran going for a couple, and he's now up to 4, but that's off 9 balls. Can he step it up? How soon can he? The required rate continuing to mount 12.15 it is at this current time. 8.17 the West Indies going, and they'll have to move it up drastically. 109 for 3 in the 13th over. The target 190. This one is struck way over the deep mid wicket region into the base of the Johnson Charles stand. So he is very aware of the situation, Nicholas Pooran, and deciding that they've really got to step it up now and just going through the line and hoisting march into the Johnson Charles stand.
Yes, indeed. I've got no choice now but to go after it. So the small crowd will be in for a treat one way or the other. And Puran launching into this one in his favorite deep mid wicket area, comfortably clearing the boundary for 6.
And it looked like he had proper contact from the time he had put bat and ball. And there was no chance that either the deep mid wicket or the long on would have had any chance of getting at it. Sailed a good way into the base of the stand. So the West Indies 115 now for 3, still 75 runs needed. They'll need some more lusty blows like that last one from Puran. March it is once more. This one is well up to the batsman, too far up for him to get under. He just tugging it down to the mid-wicket region and just restricted to the single. 116 for 3. Let's see how well Simmons can continue. He's not really had the consistency of strike that we saw maybe when the innings had started earlier on. Remember when the innings had just started, he had most of the strike and had led Lewis at one stage as far as his scoring is concerned. Then Lewis really ran away with it before he left for 31. But Simmons is getting one down the leg side, called wide now too by umpire Gregory Baffett. This one too far down the leg side, and the West Indies will definitely entertain that extra, and that takes it up to 6. 5 wides, 1 no ball, and Simmons on 62, looking to stay out there as long as possible. Can he get to 100? Can he steer the West Indies to the 190 run target in association with his captain Nicholas Pooran? But it's going to be Marsh who has other ideas. He's charging. We'll just play that one quietly into the onside. The field is coming quickly off the boundary. We'll restrict them to just a single. One bounce into Wade and Dan Christian doing good work, having to charge in from the long on boundary, knowing that it's going to be crunch time in these overs. If they can keep the pressure on, will restrict the scoring by the West Indians and good feeling by the Australians. Julian
Yes, indeed. Marsh continued to do a good job for the Australians. Of course, he'll start with the bat, but he's also doing very well with the ball.
Yes, 2.5 overs, just about to complete the study, and he's got 1 for 19. Will come round the wicket to the left-handed Pooran, and Pooran is getting the delivery outside the off. Somebody guides it lovely down to the backward point position. Very good shot, knowing where the field was set and just getting some bat on that one, guiding it down to that vacant position, and a very, very, very timely boundary for Nicholas Pooran. He goes to 15, and at the end of 14, the West Indies 122 for 3.
Yeah, Pooran easing the strain of Simmons, really. Simmons have not been able to get the ball away in the last few overs, but Pooran opening up now, and we know his capabilities. Once he stays around, we're gonna get somewhere close to this score, this formidable score by Australia.
Well, he's closing the gap between runs and balls in terms of his own personal performance. He's faced 12 balls for his 15. It's going to be Simmons, who's been a bit subdued of late. He's on 63 from 42 with 10 fours and 1 6. Waiting for Zampo, starts a new over. This one is short outside the off stump. He's tugging it into the offside, but it's straight to the fielder. Can't get any run there. So more pressure being placed on the West Indies as Zampa is back from the northern end. He's back at his mark. Waits to see that all his fielders are in position. Passes umpire Gustard. This one is struck well over the region between the long on and the long off, all the way for 6. So he's been off the ball for some time, but he's known the situation requires this sort of strike, and went all the way with Zampa, hitting it well over the head of the long off and long on fielders. Very straight for 6, Julian Charles.
Yes, indeed. It's just what the doctor ordered for the West Indies. Zampa been bowling flat and economical, but Simmons doing the right thing, coming down the wicket and hitting as straight as a dart, well over the boundary for 6.
Well, it's 128 for 3. Could we have an onslaught now by the West Indies. They will need to do so. The ball is not back with us yet. Maybe it's gone away somewhere in the darkness between the two stands. Now we are seeing Stark with it. Let's see if they're going to have the sanitization process before play continues. The umpire is already out on the field to ensure that things are done. That's the fourth umpire. Nigel Duguid is coming out on the field. So it's Simmons, 69. He's gone up with that lusty blow. So West Indies needing to get a further 62 runs and little under 6 overs remaining. So Julian Charles, they've really got to be consistent. They need many more of those blows if they're going to get close to the 190 runs in.
Yeah, of course, 10 or 11 and over is quite manageable these days. But of course, wickets. It's important that wickets are kept intact, and the players who are already set stay in.
Yes, I think they have sufficient wickets that they can make some sort of charge now with the number of overs remaining, and you've still got Andre Russell, Fabian Allen inside. So I'm sure they'll love to give them an opportunity to make a charge at this target. This one is again driven, but this time it won't get over there of the long off field. He's coming across, and they're coming back for the second run. So it's 130 now. For the loss of 3, Simmons move into the 70s. He's up to 71. Puran is on 15 at the non-strikers end, so they've got to run as hard as possible as well. So 2 very useful runs taken there. Zampa in once more. He's looking to turn it on the onside. Comes off the pad, and it's Wade who comes from behind the stump to field. So they've really got to go at it now. They need to. The required rate 11.25. They've just been able to push it up to 8.86. Zampa, some success tonight. This one is short outside the off stump, and Simmons hits it down to the man sweeping on the deep extra cover boundary. We will just get the single. 131 for 3. And Zampa, outstanding figures this evening. 3.5 overs, no maidens, 19 runs, 2 wickets. So he's been the man who has really kept things in check, and also picking up 2 wickets in the process, that of Lewis and Fletcher. So it's going to be Puran to face the final delivery of Zampa's spell, and this one just played up on the onside. Zampa looking to fall on it, couldn't do so. The over will come to an end. We will have 15 completed. It's 132 for the loss of 3. Simmons 72. Puran 16. That's the latest score here at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground.
C-R-O. C-R-O.
What you doing?
Practicing how to say hello in Italian so I can go impress the folks at Caribbean LED.
You mean because they have the new Fumagalli range of lighting fixtures, ideal for outdoor use, especially for homes like ours in the tropics, affected by constant sunlight and sea spray?
Si, Fumagalli.
Alright, you. Head to the store at Wildy. I will go to the Laura Estate location on my way home. Oh, and it's not Ciao, it's pronounced Chow.
Wait, it's Chow?
Well, Reds Pereira, we're certainly in for a smashing finish to this game. The West Indies very much in the chase, going after a run rate of 11.60. The current run rate is 8.80, but with Lendl Simmons and Nicholas Puran in the wicket and Andre Russell to come, well, fireworks can happen.
58 from 30. That's gettable with the kind of firepower you just mentioned still to come, and Simmons going well.
So it's actually Puran who's on strike, and it's Mitchell Marsh continuing into the left-handed. Puran, he pulls, but that one keeps low. Fortunately, it was outside the off stump, and wicketkeeper Wade, he takes that one almost rolling toward him on the ground, Reds.
Yes, Marsh, he's had a good series, batted beautifully, and trying to bowl a containing over. I don't think he's so much looking to take wickets at this stage, looking to bowl a good tight defensive over.
Marsh into Puran, and Puran drives. That one goes high, but I'm not sure if it has the distance on it. The fielder running in, it's not will get to that fielder is in a bit, running in from the long off boundary, gets to it. It is a catch. Nicholas Buran, he's out. The West Indies, well, they've lost their 4th wicket. It's 132 for 4 on Buran. He perishes on 16.
Yes, going long, trying to hit it right over the bowler's head. It came off the toe of the bat, not anywhere near the sweet bread of the bat, and caught with a man coming in from the long opposition. Caught Christian off the bowling of Marsh, and the West Indies losing a wicket at a very important time. Well, a lot to do, and Russell, respected throughout the world, as a man who could change the whole scenario in about 6 balls.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think we have the 2 potential players or player of the match in the wicket right now. Lendl Simmons, who's on 72, and if he can carry on and take the West Indies home, probably in for a good shot. But certainly Mitchell Marsh as well, scoring 75 in the Aussie innings. He now has figures of 2 for 23, and he's into his 4th over.
Yes, having a good series, a good little run game here today. But you have both men capable of firing right now, Simmons and Russell. Russell, of course, a non-striker.
So they would have crossed Lendl Simmons. That's a short ball. Pulls it. Doesn't get the sort of connection he wants. The fielder running around from that cow corner position. And it's an easy catch. The West Indies losing consecutive wickets. The 2 batsmen who could have seen this home. We just spoke about Lendl Simmons. He's out. The score is now 132 for 5. The West Indies, well, how things can change in a matter of a couple of balls. Good catch out on that boundary by Henriquez.
Yes, short, looking to hit into the wind. And I think the wind made that ball stutter a bit. Had it been the other way around, it would have cleared into the Johnson Charles stand. And Simmons going for 78 or 48 balls. Good catch by Henriquez off the bowling of Marsh. He had to cover some ground almost around the turn, so to speak. And those 2 wickets has probably just given Australia the edge here. But Russell is there, and we all know what he has done all over the world. He can be savage. He can really change the whole scenario very quickly with 4 or 5 master strokes, clearing the boundary very easily. So himself and Allen, very, very good pair, but not a lot to come after this.
Yeah, and the second time in this match, we have a player on a hat-trick. It was Hayden Walsh Jr. When the West Indies bowl. Now it's Mitchell Marsh. He will be bowling to Fabian Allen. And you know what, Reds? The spectre of that West Indies batting frailty seems to have reared its head tonight.
Well, that's why last night I was cautioning, let us not get carried away. This has been a much closer game. It's fair to say the West Indies has made a number of forced changes.
Marsh into Allen, who's just behind that delivery. The first that he's faced pushes it back down the wicket. Marsh fields off his own bowling. There's no run. The score remains at 132 for 5. The required run rate, has climbed up to 13.38.
And when you look back at that last wicket falling, a very good running catch at backward square.
Martian once more to Allen, pitched up on his legs. He gets behind that, works it out into the onside. There'll be no run. Adam Zampa, the fielder, coming around to make sure the batsmen stay where they are, keeping the pressure on the West Indies.
An important dot ball, 58 from 25 balls. Something have to give. And I think basically Allen should try and give Russell the strike as soon as possible.
Final ball of this delivery by Marsh. Allen drives, and they go through for a single, which means you won't get your wish, Reds. It means Allen will retain the strike. The end of a really good spell from Mitchell Marsh. 4 overs, 3 for 24. And at the end of the 16th over, the West Indies 133 for 5.
Well, the 2 batsmen, chatting in the middle. The scoreboard is very visible from where they are, and they need to really have a couple of good overs to bring this rate down to a level where the last over or two, they're not under pressure to be scoring, 9.5, 10.
So Mitchell Marshy would have just achieved his best ever figures in T20 cricket, 4 overs, 3 for 24, to follow up on his solid knock of 75 in that Aussie first innings total of 189. We're now seeing a change in the bowling once more. The left-handed Behrendorff in from the northern end.
Yes, he's bowled quite quickly, and he's getting some swing.
In now to Fabian Allen. This is a full delivery. Allen hits it, drives it down to the long on position. Mitchell Stark is there. He'll run around and keep that to a single. The score moves on to 134 for 5.
It'll be interesting to see the approach of Russell. Will he go on the attack straight away? Will he get a sight or two? Will he knock it around? Takes what looks like a leg stump guard, and it's going to be a good contest between the big tall left-hander and the aggressive all-rounder from the West Indies.
Not known for wanting to knock it around, as you said, Reds. 56 more from 23 balls. If it's there to be hit, we expect Russell will hit it. That one pitched up, comes onto the front foot, drives the field on that extra cover boundary, comes in off the boundary, picks up. It'll just be a single. Not what the West Indies will want at this stage. They will need to find the boundaries. It's 135 for 5.
Well, Russell takes a single.
Anything can happen in this glorious game, Reds, as Behrendorff runs in to Fabian Allen. Again, pitched up wide of the off stump. Allen had a heave of that one, aiming to hit it somewhere between the Johnson Charles stand and where we are. Made no contact. Keeper Wade collects. There'll be no run.
Pressure building with each and every dot ball.
And the run rate is also building up to 15.71 now. 55 required off 21 balls. Behrendorff, he's come into this team replacing Josh Hazelwood. Into bowl now to Fabian Allen. Pitched up, Allen drives but doesn't make good contact. His head was in the air when he drove at that one. Took the bottom of the bat and just trickled into the offside. They scamper through for a single. Adds just 1 to the total, 136 for 5. The run rate goes up with every delivery that does not go to the boundary. Now 16.2.
Good over from the left armer Behrendorff. Just a couple of runs. Very willing to concede singles. The field quite deep set. Strong onside field for Russell.
Behrendorff over the wicket to Russell. This one is pitched up. Russell has a drive at it, and for a moment Mitchell Stark thought he was in business, but the power of Andre Russell, that one sails over the long on boundary. It's a 6, it's a maximum, it's what the Windies doctor would have ordered. 142 for 5.
Just pull back the weight required a bit for the West Indies, but the West Indies really needs to go for broke from here and
well, a lot of cover on the onside now. Reds.
Yep. Short mid wicket and now.
Behrendorff into Russell. This one short. Russell pulls and pulls powerfully, but there is cover on the boundary, that deep mid wicket boundary. He's only able to get a single, takes the score on to 143 for 5. Russell moves on to 8, but I think he's answered the question. We know what he's going to do. The Windies, in search of 47 more to win off just 18 deliveries, a score at the end of the over, 143 for 5.
That's the sound of doors opening to another Crumbs Bakery to serve another important part of the Barbadian community. This time at Silver Sands in Christchurch, another location with the same Crumbs commitment to bring you a wide variety of fresh cakes, pastries and bread, because they should be as close to you as we can get. crumbs, now at Silver Sands in Christchurch.
Crumbs, so good, even down to the last crumb.
Well, it's all action here at the Darren Sammy Stadium. The West Indies requiring another 47 off just 3 overs. That's 18 balls. And Aaron Finch turns to his champion bowler. And in what will be a very important over, Mitchell Starc is back.
Yes, the experience of Stark. And he'll have to draw in that experience. He's had a better game yesterday. By far his best game. And now he's hoping that the rhythm and the confidence and the control will serve Australia well here. Simmons going maybe at a time when the West Indies didn't need him to go.
Starc, 2 overs so far for 20 runs. Coming back in left arm around the wicket to Andre Russell. This one pitched up. Russell drives, takes the outside edge of the bat, but the fielder running in from that deep, that backward point boundary, could not get to the ball. Tried to judge whether he should hold back or go forward. Didn't make a good decision in the end. The ball spun away, and the batsmen were able to take 2 runs. It takes the score to 145 for 5.
That error allowed Russell to come back for the second. He's still in strike, which is very important for the West Indies and bad news for Australia.
Well, he got almighty close to that boundary rope, so I think the umpires are having a look to see whether he may have actually conceded a boundary. It was good work, because after it spun away, he had to dive toward the boundary to get the ball under control. And it is Alex Carey, so they're just trying to see whether his fingers may have nudged that boundary rope. Good news, it would give the West Indies an extra 2 runs.
He got very close.
So, all's well that ends well, certainly for the Aussies, as we continue. Mitchell Starc, left arm around the wicket, into Andre Russell. Starc pitches that one up. Russell drives straight, but does not contact it the way he would have wanted to. Behrendorff is able to run around from that long off boundary, and it's just a single Reds, 146 for 5.
It went very quickly in that direction. Maybe they a moment thought of hustling back for the second, but it would have been close. The return was on his way very quickly.
16.5 is the run rate. The West Indies will do really well to get home from this point. 44 more needed from just 16 balls. Fabian Allen, he'll have to have a go at it no matter what happens, Reds. Still 5 in the bullpen, but no one coming who can do the kind of damage Andre Russell can do. As Starc in now to Allen. Allen drives but misses. That one pitched up and outside the off stump.
And the Australian captain has actually brought in a backward point. He's got a slip. He's got a cover, a long off, a squarish cover, deep mid-wicket, orthodox mid-wicket. It's just interesting feel, like if he's trying to cover all bases.
Well, he'll need Mitchell Starc to get his bases right. Runs in once more to bowl to Fabian Allen. Allen drives. Lucky shot. Gets a thick outside edge, and neither that exaggerated fourth slip nor the fielder backward point could have stopped that one. Races in to the third man boundary. Brings up the Windies 50, 150 for 5. Allen goes on to 7.
Tough on Starc. Broke away the outside edge, but it didn't go to hand. It went to the right of Finch, who is in that very deep slip position. And runs coming for the West Indies when they really badly need even more.
Welcome boundary for the West Indies, as you said, Reds. Starc once more into Fabian Allen, who can hit them. This one is on a good length. Allen drives, good looking shot. Does he have enough on it? Yes, he does. It beats Behrendorff into that long off boundary, and it brings up another important 4 for the West Indies, 154 for 5.
36 now needed of what, 12, and really confidently hitting that inside out slightly over extra cover.
and he'll need to give the West Indies one more ball left in this over from Mitchell Stark as he runs into Fabian Allen. And this one is pitched up. Allen swings at it but misses. And you think if he got anything on that, it may just have raced away. But a good result in the end for the Aussies. A dot ball. It's 154 for 5, though. West Indies in chase of the Australian total of 189. Well, they still need 36 more from 12 balls, and that's the latest from the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Well, I would think that once Russell's in the strike, he's the key, because he's got the power to clear the boundary. Allen is, no inability to do the same, but I think it's very vital that Russell get as much of the bowling at this time.
So Behrendorff, who would have done a decent job in his last over, he will not continue. Instead, the captain has opted for Riley Meredith for this penultimate over, this very important over, and bowling against the man you'd want on strike, Andre Russell. Tough challenge, Reds.
Yes, and a big ask here for the young Australian bowler.
Into Russell, a full toss. Russell hits it and hits it well, and Mitchell Stark, who was maybe 20 feet away from that delivery on the long on boundary, tried his best to get across. It was in vain. Andre Russell, the Superman of West Indies cricket, 160 for 5. He moves on to 17 of just 6 deliveries.
Well, just too full, and Russell getting a good bat onto it and beating Stark to his left. Now he's a fairly straight long on and couldn't get it wrong at all. Massive shot.
So it's a good test for the young Meredith. And now Stark even straighter. So certainly you think that Meredith will want to keep his deliveries full.
30 off 11.
Russell drives, doesn't make good contact. That one just trickles into the onside to square leg. Marsh runs across, does the fielding. Just to 1 run added to the total. They take the single, 161 for 5. Fabian Allen will need to do some work here.
Yes, he can't leave it to Russell alone. He's got to die with his boots on at this stage. There's no point thinking of who can come. Both of them need to stay from the West Indies point of view.
Meredith in, 29 needed from 10 balls. Bowls to Fabian Allen. It's a full toss. Allen hits it and hits it well. That one clears the despairing Mitchell Stark. No chance to get to that delivery over the long on boundary. That's exactly what was required. 167 for 5. Allen moves up to 17.
22 off 9 left for the West Indies, and not a good delivery, really just too full, and giving Allen a very, very good chance of putting bat to ball, cleared the long on position by a long way.
Figures now none for 45, maybe a little bit of nerves. Meredith, just his second match of the series, in now to Fabian Allen. And this one short. Allen swings and makes good contact once more. That one clears the boundary, goes even further than the previous delivery over that mid-wicket boundary. That's a 6. It's 173 for 5. Allen's on 23, and now just 17 needed from 8 deliveries.
Well, what a difference a couple of deliveries can make. What a difference a couple of shots can make. And the power of Russell, now Allen, has got the West Indies, I think, in a winning position.
That ball by Meredith on a length just outside the off stump. Fabian Allen picked it up early, went with the wind and smashed it over the boundary. And we have a small but vociferous crowd here who are enjoying every moment of the action.
Australia badly needing a dot ball, badly needing to concede a single. 17 from 8 balls, and that could finish in 4.
So the ball has been retrieved. Dan Christian, the experienced Dan Christian, 38 years old, in consultation with Meredith, offering some advice. What advice really can you offer at this stage of the game?
Meredith none for 51 of 3.4.
Into Fabian Allen. This one pitched up. Allen drives and makes good contact. It's against the wind, but that won't stop it from clearing the boundary. Fabian Allen is on fire. It's another maximum, 179 for 5. Fabian Allen, it's 3 consecutive sixes. He moves on to 29. Australia in all sorts of tatters.
And they're reduced it to 11 of 7 balls. This has really been some fantastic power hitting, clean hitting, nothing iffy about it. And the Australians have not bowled a good line and good length as we come towards the end. There were just too many deliveries, just too full, and giving the batsman a good sight of the ball.
Well, that one pitched up outside the off stump. Full credit to Allen. He waited on that. He saw what the bowler was doing with it, and he picked his shot, and that one cleared the boundary against the wind Reds.
Yep, hitting into the wind. That's not easy to achieve on this ground because right now the flags are fairly loose, so it's not a heavy gale blowing by any means.
So the conference continues. Dan Christian and Meredith. This time Aaron Finch runs from his position in that unorthodox fourth slip position to join the consultation. 1 ball left for Riley Meredith. This over has seen the West Indies reduce the target to 11 needed from 7 balls. Fabian Allen. Can he clear the boundary again? Meredith. Final ball in. Allen drives. That ball is... did he edge? Seemed to have edged. Yes, he's gone. Yeah, he edged it. The keeper... Matthew Wade holding on to it, almost anticlimactic. He had to go for it, Reds, but I think Allen would have done an excellent job getting the West Indies to just within 11 of a winning total. 1 over left, it's 179 for 6, and that's the latest score from the Darren Sammy Stadium.
Any time is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Now with 2 convenient locations, Fairchild Street in the city and Speightstown, St. Peter. Try their snack boxes, 2 pieces, fries and a bun for only $12.99, or the loaded fries with chicken deliciousness for only $11.99. With barbecue and fried chicken, delicious burgers, the freshest salads and sides. Anytime is a good time for crispy fried chicken. Follow at Crispy Fried Chicken BDS on Instagram.
Well, it's cricket, lovely cricket and exciting cricket here at the Darren Sammy Stadium in St. Lucia, chasing 189. The West Indies are 179 for 6 with 1 over left. They need just 11 to make this a 4-0 sweep. Andre Russell is the man on strike. Mitchell Starc with the ball in hand. It's all set for a Grand Slam finish.
It's really set up. The power of Russell and the experience of Starc. If he's someone that Finch could have gone to and said, look, you've played for Australia a long time, you've got to be able to handle this. But a major demand on Russell here, 11 off some 6 balls. That should not be difficult.
Well, it's against a champion bowler, let's not forget, and it will certainly define, I think, this entire series. It's a full delivery into Russell's pads. In fact, Russell falling over as he tried to play that. It trickles down to the fielder at that deep, actually at that long on area. They decide not to go for the single. Akil Hussain, he would have made his way in. Is it? Hayden Walsh would have made his way into the wicket.
Very good delivery by Starc. First up, Yorker, and it almost floored Russell. He managed to get back to the ball. So a dot ball appearing, 11 off 5.
Mitchell Starc into Andre Russell. Everyone holds their breath. This one is driven hard, but straight to the fielder at long on. They've opted not to go for the run Reds, 179 for 6. The equation getting more and more intriguing. 11 more now from 4 balls.
Turning the signal down, but Russell wanted to keep the strike. 11 off 4. You can hear the small crowd standing and shouting all sort of advice to Russell. Stark is back to his mark.
I see my good friend Phileas Laurent waving from the stands, urging Andre Russell on. Mitchell Stark in once more to Russell. And this one is full, and it's a sort of carbon copy of the first 2 shots. Russell, all he can do, it's fast, full, and into his pads. And Russell can just, all he can do is turn it down to the player in long on. And it's no run again. They turn down the single.
3 deliveries and not a run has been added, but Russell deciding that I'm not going to lose the strike. He feels that with 3 balls he can still push the West Indies over the line. The Australian just a couple of balls away for their first win on this series. I'm sure there will be a happy side even if they won on a series which has been lost.
Stark into Russell, and again this one fast into the pad, appears to be going down the leg side. Russell tries to heave it into the leg side, misses completely into his pad. At one point it was 11 required off 7. Fabian Allen was out, it was 11 off 6. Mitchell Stark has delivered 4 dot deliveries in this final over, and now the West Indies need 2 sixes to win.
Well, he's got 2 balls. It's achievable. And once he doesn't achieve that huge boundary, Australia could start celebrating.
So Stark in, very important delivery to Andre Russell. And it's a full delivery. This time Russell makes contact, but does he make good enough contact? He does not. The fielder runs around from long on. And once more, they refuse the single. I mean, I don't know why they'd refuse the single at this stage. It's not like he's going to hit 11 off 1 ball. But I think that's certainly the fat lady singing, right?
Well, we can see a very unusual finish here. This could be a maiden over. This could be a maiden over.
Indeed, a maiden last over in T20 cricket.
Yes.
Well, ably assisted by the batsman, of
You
course.
don't often see that with someone like Russell batting, but it's been that situation.
Stark with his final delivery into Russell, and Russell does make contact with this delivery. It is in the mid-wicket area, clears the boundary. It's a 6. They needed that maybe a couple balls ago. The West Indies, their innings wraps up at 185 for 6, losing by just 4 runs, right?
A very brilliant over by Stark. Really drawing his experience. He really bowled very well to Russell, keeping it up right in the crease area. And Russell, on a couple of occasions, he had the signal, decided, no, I'll stay in strike. So the West Indies, losing their first in this competition, is now 3-1 with 1 to go. We certainly felt that Australia were 30 or 40 runs short. And at one time the West Indies were in fact cruising, but maybe with the loss of Simmons at the wrong time or the right time for Australia, the West Indies certainly couldn't, too far behind with the rate, and certainly couldn't find the boundary to go over the line.
So the players going through their various courtesies, wishing each other well. The Aussies are on the board finally, 3-1. It was a scream of a game, Reds, a scream of a game. Aaron Finch, of course, winning the toss, his 4th consecutive toss, opting to bat once more. And Australia, after a shaky start, losing Wade for just 5 runs, they saw a solid partnership from skipper Finch and Mitchell Marsh.
114 in that partnership.
114. Finch eventually went bowl the impressive Hayden Walsh Jr. for 53.
Yeah, having his best knock in the series, he would have been quite delighted to have gotten 50. Captain was under a lot of pressure.
It left Mitchell Marsh in the wicket. Marsh has had a great series so far, but he found no support from the other batsmen. Alex Carey He was caught on Bull Walsh for a duck. Moses Enriquez, he was caught Allen Bull Russell for 6. Ashton Turner, he was stumped by Paran Bull Walsh for 6. By the time Mitchell Marsh went, caught behind for 75, which included 6 sixes and 4 fours. The Aussie innings, which looked like it would have gotten over 200, had stumbled, and they eventually closed on 189 for 6.
Just a little bit of a partnership between Christian and Stark at the end, but Australia falling, we felt at the time, about 40 runs short.
A couple of the West Indies bowlers, 7 of them used, a bit expensive. Sheldon Cottrell, he was steady, had 4 overs for 31 runs. O'Shane Thomas, 2 overs, 1 for 31. Andre Russell, 3 overs, 1 for 25. Akil Hussain, he just had 2 overs, went for 24 runs. Fabian Allen, he did a good job as well, 4 overs, 1 for 31. Hayden Walsh Jr., well, this kid continues to impress. Had another really good outing with the ball, 4 overs, 3 for 27. And the 7th bowler, Lendl Simmons, he just had 1 over, went for 16 runs.
And as you read the figures, down comes the rain. Maybe a little late.
Great timing. The West Indies, as we said, haven't fallen short. It was a good chase. Started off well. Lendl Simmons and Evan Lewis doing what they do best, taking the score to 62 within the power play before Lewis. He was bowled by Zampa for 31. That included 2 sixes and 4 fours.
Well, the West Indies wanted a good start, and they got it, because these two was just taking the Australian attack apart, and eventually it was Lewis, as you just said, the first to go for 31. It was in the 5th over when he went 62 for 1.
Chris Gayle was unable to repeat his fireworks of a couple of nights ago. He was caught on the boundary by Baron Bull Marsh for just 1. Andre Fletcher didn't fare much better. He was bowled by Zampa for 6, having just survived a very close LBW appeal, and that brought the skipper Nicholas Puran into the wicket